Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Konoha, Medical Ninja, One Punch Fly Six Paths Madara. Chapter 111. It has to be said that the only shining point of Danzo, the cauldron of this world, is his persistence. His ideal has remained the same, which is to become Hokage. The fourth generation died, and the third generation died, even though it was fifth Hokage now. At 70, he still wants to be Hokage. But this does not mean that he can survive another 6th generation, 7th generation. Tsunade returns when Hokage, the identity of Qianyu Senju's clan is officially recognized. Danzo knew very well what this meant, and everyone except him thought that Qianyu would be the next Hokage. Even the two oldies Udatane Koharu and Mitokado Homura have this idea. How can that be? He absolutely won't allow this to happen. Only he, Shimura Danzo, is the one who can lead Konoha to glory. Therefore, Qianyu has become a thorn in his eyes, and the flesh, 5 or 6-0, is thorn in. What's more, as long as Qianyu can be dealt with, Tsunade must be hit hard. It was because of Naoki's incident that this woman was devastated. When Qianyu is dead, maybe 5th Hokage will abdicate early. Thinking of this, Danzo's heart was already hot. He couldn't wait to receive the good news from his subordinates. As for Qianyu's information, he thought he had mastered it in great detail. 3 Tomo Sharingan, powerful chakra brought by Senju physique, as well as strong and good physical and sword skills. However, the people sent out this time are all Anbu's elite, plus he provides a way to deal with Sharingan, absolutely foolproof. In this world, no one knows Sharingan better than him. If there is, let him stand up and let everyone compare the number. After leaving Konoha, Qianyu marched all the way towards the land of soup. The land of thunder and the land of fire do not actually have a border. There are several small countries sandwiched between the two, and the location of this conflict is at the junction of the land of soup and the land of fire. The cause was also due to the death of the third generation, and Konoha shinobi suffered a certain amount of damage. Let the people in the village be stretched thin. And the reckless group of Cloud Shinobi Village will never let go of such an opportunity to rob. It's not right to say that he is a reckless man. The reckless man is just a disguise for the appearance of these people. Taking advantage of Hinata's incident was not a strategy that a fool could come up with. Thinking of this, Qianyu was also full of anger. He hasn't bothered with Cloud Shinobi Village yet, they've come to find their own business first. With Tsunade's Kabuto bottom, it's going to be a big deal this time around. Just as he was thinking about how to clean up Cloud Shinobi, he noticed something abnormal in Kagura's eyes. 5 kilometers away, more than a dozen groups of chakra, who are not weak, were distributed on his only path. Is this an ambush at Cloud Shinobi Village? Qianyu immediately rejected his idea. There is still some distance from the border. If Cloud Shinobi sneaks in, Konoha will definitely get information. Moreover, the location of the ambush was so accurate, it was obvious that it was aimed at him. There is only one possibility. Thinking of this, Qianyu also showed a playful smile. He is suffering from having no excuses to deal with Danzo. Did this Guoing come to handle it by himself? The other side, under the leadership of Yamanaka K's, a dozen of them tried their best to hide their stature. They all wear special goggles that avoid looking directly into the enemy's eyes without compromising vision. This is Danzo's trump card. Without powerful illusions, Sharingan's insight ability is terrifying, but these root ninjas are not weak. Killing one Qianyu was more than enough. What's more, they still have no intention of calculating. As long as they step into the ambush, these root ninjas will launch a fatal blow, even if they exchange their lives for their lives. One of the characteristics of the root: there are only dead people who complete the task, no living people who fail the task. Compared to Anbu, they are the ones who really live in the dark. Suddenly, Yamanaka sensed something and made a gesture. It didn't take long for Qianyu to maintain the same speed as before, gradually approaching the ambush circle. Like he didn't notice anything, all his attention was on the road ahead. When it landed on the trunk of a big tree. Boom, boom, boom. The detonating talisman trap buried in advance exploded directly, and the entire tree was blown to pieces. Whoosh whoosh. All the root ninjas got the signal, and countless kunai shuriken flew over, and dozens of figures in the jungle burst out, rushing up at the same time. Qian Yu's figure was blown high by the shock wave of the explosion, and it was also covered with hidden weapons. Even so, the ninja at the root did not relax. Two of them each held the two ends of an iron chain, wrapped Qian Yu in a circle, and pulled hard. The expected picture of blood and flesh did not appear, only the broken wooden golem fell to the ground. It turned out to be just a wood clone. Only wood clone will not disappear after taking a certain amount of damage. Not good. Found. More than a dozen root ninjas looked around vigilantly, looking for Qian Yu's trace. What? A scream rang out, and everyone followed the sound and saw a ninja stabbed from behind by a long sword. Thump. When he fell, Qian Yu's playful smile also appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Kill. Without the slightest emotional fluctuations, Yamanaka Wind rushed up with the others as if a passerby had died. If the mission target is not dead, they will not stop the attack. The thunder and the dragon are driving the rain, and the electric line is like a mad arrow in the air. Qian Yuliu the shape of four running thunder. A dazzling arc flashed on the Bodu Yusul, and a knife was thrown out, and the thunder dragon formed by the huge sword energy roared and swallowed the three. At the same time, thousands of flying feathers became extremely tiny under the action of Xiao Ming Viguna. The dazzling brontosaurus made such a small object completely invisible to the basic ninja. However, when approaching the enemy, the flying feathers will change back to their original size, and pierce their throats with extremely sharp lightning chakra. That is to say, are all Konoha ninjas, but under Danzo's brainwashing, these root ninjas have also completely lost their humanity. Keeping it is also a hidden danger, it is better to kill it all. Therefore, Qian Yu's attack can be described as merciless. The team of more than 10 people was almost wiped out in an instant. Only Yamanaka Wind, relying on the sense of crisis that he has trained for many years, subconsciously dodged and escaped by luck. Flying Thunder God Katakana Middle Second Dan. With the help of the technique on the flying feathers, Qian Yu's figure instantly appeared in front of Yamanaka Fukuoka. Boom! At the moment of life and death, Yamanaka took the wind out of his potential and performed the fastest body replacement technique in his life. Qian Yu smashed the avatar with one punch, and stepped in front of him again. The horizontal knife swept across, accurately smashing his goggles. Yamanaka took the wind when he saw a pair of scarlet eyes. Illusion. Katakana Middle Sharingan. Go back and say that, you know. Qian Yu whispered a few words and let the Yamanaka wind go. And Yamanaka, who was walking towards Konoha, still had a hint of daze in his eyes. It is also indecent to come and go, he can't get out now, and he will settle the account after returning to the village. Let Yamanaka Wind collect some interest for him first. After solving the episode, Qian Yu was not affected in the slightest and continued on his way. Danzo is like an annoying fly, buzzing around, very criminal. But if you want to say actual harm, there really isn't. When it was dark, Qian Yu also successfully arrived at Konoha's camp on the border. After handing Hokage's order document to the guard ninja, he went directly to Kosuke Marixing's residence. Looking at the old man with a large piece of gauze and bandages wrapped around his chest, Qian Yu's voice became a little deep. You go out and gather all the ninjas here. Unbuttoning the gauze and bandages revealed 3 long sword wounds. Qian Yu's hands were clenched tightly. His right hand lit up with green light and placed it on Marushin Kosuke's chest. The therapeutic effect that has evolved twice is very terrifying. It not only helped Marushin Kosuke to heal the injury, but also restored a certain vitality. After about 10 minutes, he finally woke up faintly. Qian Yu. Marushin Kosuke, who had just woken up, was still a little dazed and asked uncertainly. Senior Gu Jia, it's me. Qian Yu nodded with a smile. You'll be fine, I'm here, don't worry. No matter who the opponent is who hurt Kosuke Marushin, he promises to make him pay the price he deserves. Susato Buddha, 2 people destroy the 4 kingdoms. Today, he is still a little short of the great Buddha, so let's destroy half of the country first. After chatting a few more words, Qian Yu told Marushin Kosuke to take a good rest, and walked out of the tent by himself. Outside, dozens of Konoha shinobi have gathered, waiting for his orders. Looking at the back of his departure, Marushin Kosuke also felt great comfort. In just a few months, this kid has become the pillar of Konoha, and now he can stand in front of him to protect from the wind and rain. Outside the house, dozens of Konoha shinobi followers who had been ordered to look at Qian Yu in unison. Some are curious, some are scrutinizing, and some are worried. Qian Yu didn't talk too much nonsense with them and asked directly. Do you have any information on the enemy? How did Kosuke-senpai get injured? A Konoha shinobi wearing a Jonin vest remarks Kaido. Senior Kosuke and his team were ambushed by the elite Cloud Shinobi team, and they had the advantage, but another enemy came from Cloud Shinobi. Speaking of this, his tone also became solemn. It was a female ninja who killed Tsukyu and Xiaoyu by herself, and wounded Kosuke-senpai. If it wasn't for the timely arrival of the support troops, Kosuke-senpai might not be able to come back. Female ninja. Qian Yu frowned and thought for a while, then asked again, do you know what he looks like? Rice brown long straight hair, tied into a braid. Case solved. With such an obvious feature, Qian Yu naturally knew who was coming. Two Tails Jinchuriki -2 by Wooden Golem. There are few appearances in this original work, but the female Jinchuriki, who is also a popular character, can skillfully use the power of the tail beast. Although Maru Shin Kosuke's strength is good, he is still a little worse in the face of this kind of monster. Qian Yu remembered that the weapon of Wooden Golem was the claws that could extend from the limbs. Then the wound on his chest was not a sword wound, but a claw mark. Where are the ninjas at Cloud Shinobi Village now? Qian Yu looked at the ninja who was answering and asked casually, by the way, what's your name? Tekuno, their base is 30 kilometers northwest. The name Jonin, that is, Takuno asked cautiously. Sir, are we going to launch a counterattack? The mission statement given by Tsunade clearly stated that Qian Yu was the commander-in-chief of the border line here. Not only them, but also the ninjas in the surrounding stores must obey the command. This is also the reason why Tekuno, who is also Jonin, has such a respectful attitude. Even among Jonin there is a gap. Of course, Qian Yu said rightfully, I came here for revenge. If Cloud Shinobi dares to hurt my Konoha people, he will pay the price in blood. While speaking, he also released a powerful chakra, pressing down on everyone present. The purpose of this is also very simple, is to show their strength. Qian Yu understands that, given his age and seniority, it is normal for others to lack trust in him. Who can trust their life to a 13-year-old child? He is not Long Aoshin's character, others will slap him in the face if they suspect him. However, he must show his strength. This will make the people under your hands feel at ease, and it will be easier to use. Sure enough, when they felt Qian Yu's huge chakra and momentum, many people were out of breath. Instead of being angry, they breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that Tsunade-sama didn't deal with it perfunctory, but attached great importance to the situation here. Everyone went back to repair, leaving 2 people to patrol. If there is any problem, don't call me tonight, tomorrow morning, attack the Cloud Shinobi Village Station. After speaking, Qian Yu walked to the best tent in the camp, ready to make do with one night. Yes, your lord, a group of ninjas happily responded. With such a strong person here, I will definitely be able to avenge my comrade tomorrow. Konoha. After Yamanaka Feng left, Qian Yu woke up from the illusion state not long after. In his memory, the entire route team fought to the death, after sacrificing most of them. He finally seized the opportunity to turn around with his heart and technique barely restrained Qian Yu, and the last companion rushed up with the detonating talisman, and the 2 perished together. That's why he couldn't bring back Qian Yu's body. This mission is half done. Danzo's order is to kill Cameo Qian Yu and get his Sharingan. After all, the more resurrection coins the better. Danzo, who has tasted the sweetness, will never give up such a good opportunity. After passing through layers of guards, Yamanaka finally came to the bottom of the route base, which is the area where Danzo lives. As soon as they met, he knelt down on one knee. Your Majesty, Yamanaka Kazami came to return. How is it? Did Sharingan bring it back? Danzo's tone was a little eager. He knew that when his subordinates came back, the person must be dead, but he didn't know if the Sharingan got his hands. Sorry, troop. Yamanaka Feng was about to raise his head to explain, but the words stopped abruptly before he finished speaking, and the whole person's expression was dazed for a moment. Immediately, the eyes became scarlet. Old Danzo, all the people you sent have been killed by me, are you surprised or surprised? I'm here first today, I'm going to update the old book, or I'll be beaten to death. Faced with Yamanaka's sudden change in attitude, Danzo's face darkened immediately. Looking at the familiar Sharingan, how could he not know that he was being smothered by Qianyu? Come on, let Yamanaka release the illusion. 3 black shadows flashed past and rushed towards Yamanaka K's, who was laughing wildly. This is Qianyu's well-designed action based on the style of Uchiha's laughing 4 heroes. Danzo's expression was even more embarrassing. If it wasn't for Yamanaka's always reliable work, he would have wanted to kill someone. Is this smile to laugh at him? Just when the 3 were about to control the Yamanaka wind, his right eye suddenly turned into a complicated Mangekyo. Mama Tiras. The black flame that is said to never go out without burning the target rises out of nowhere. The 3 rude ninjas and Danzo let out a scream in an instant. Old man, this is just a little interest, just wash your neck obediently and wait for the young master to go back. Count your remaining days, when I return to Konoha, it will be your 4th period. After Yamanaka Wind finished speaking, the whole person rolled his eyes and fainted. The ninja at the root was burned alive in endless pain. Danzo was also burned half of his body, and in desperation, he could only use the resurrection coins. At the same time, he also has doubts in his heart. This is Uchiha Itachi's art. Is there a connection between the 2? Or did Kamio Qianyu have awakened Mangekyo? If it is the latter, it will be troublesome. Looking at the 3 dead subordinates, and the unconscious Yamanaka Wind. Danzo is full of fire and can only destroy his own tea set once again. Kamio Qianyu, you wait for me. In the dark room, there was another scream like a ghost, and Danzo decided to completely subdue Kamio Qianyu even if he took out his own cards. The border of the Fire Nation. After a night of rest, the Konoha shinobi players were all in good spirits and eagerly awaited the next battle. Marixing Kosuke originally wanted to follow along, but was persuaded to go back. Qianyu glanced at the distance, where several Anbu were hidden. But he didn't point it out. These people were probably sent out to follow him because Tsunade was worried. After arranging everyone to the key pass, Qianyu prepared to go to Cloud Shinobi Village alone. The role of these Konoha shinobi is to prevent some slippery fish from entering the land of fire. But someone couldn't sit still, Takuno asked anxiously. Sir Qianyu, you don't want to go alone, do you? That's right, Qianyu nodded, and before the other party could speak, he said first, if you follow me, it will only hinder my actions. After he finished speaking, he threw a flying feather, and then instantly appeared beside the flying feather. This is the flying thunder god of the 4th generation. Takuno looked shocked. It's a ninjutsu created by 2nd generation. Qianyu solemnly emphasized that the ninja world does not pay much attention to patents. What 4th generation aims at Flying Thunder God, Naruto's multiple shadow clone, or Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation? Please give some respect to the patent R&D personnel. Thank you. You're right, we will definitely take up the post. Takuno didn't pay attention to Qianyu's correction, and nodded happily. He was also one of Namikaze Minato's subordinates, and was even rescued during a battle with Cloud Shinobi Village. Witness that Namikaze Minato battle against the AB brothers. As long as you have Flying Thunder God, then Cloud Shinobi Village will never leave Qianyu. It's the real mess they follow. According to Takuno's intelligence, there are about 30 ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village at that base. Among them is the 2-tailed Jinchuriki by Wooden Golem. After passing through a forest, Qianyu came 5 kilometers away from the point indicated on the map, and opened Kagura's eyes. In the darkness, dozens of chakra flames gathered in one place were very conspicuous. In particular, one of them was far more than ordinary people. Without any hesitation, Qianyu rushed forward with a swagger. Cloud Shinobi Station. The sentient ninja, who was in charge of monitoring the surroundings, quickly discovered his presence. Attention, enemy attack. The voice fell, and many people appeared in an instant, with vigilant eyes. Is it Konoha's ninja? How many people came? The perception ninja said uncertainly, just one. A group of people looked at each other in dismay. Just one, was he here to die? You don't feel wrong, right? One person asked dissatisfied. At this moment, a lightning spear pierced through the sensory ninja's head at an incredible speed. After that, Qianyu's faint voice also sounded. He didn't perceive anything wrong, I'm the only one. As he spoke, it was the thunderbolt chakra that dissipated from his hand. The other ninjas reacted and looked at Qian Yu vigilantly. At this time, Yu Wooden Golem, who had never appeared before, also came out. A head of beige-brown hair was tied into a plait, hanging down to the hips, and the tight ninja costume set off the exquisite figure even more attractive. What impressed Qian Yu the most was when he watched anime in his previous life, Killer Bee pointed his finger at the whiteness of the wooden golem. As for what kind of ability she has, she just remembers a claw. At this time, there was obviously anger on Wooden Golem's face. As the commander-in-chief of this operation, he was knocked on the door by a Konoha shinobi, and a sentient ninja died. You must know that Cloud Shinobi is not Konoha, but has two sensory families, the Hyuga family and the Yamanaka family. Every sentient ninja is extremely precious. The willow eyebrows stand up, and the hands are quickly knotted by Wooden Golem. Fire-style Fire Rat Jade. Together with the chakra of the two-tailed meerkat in this body, Wang Li's, a cloud of blue mouth-shaped flames spit out from the mouth. Halfway through the flight, it scattered directly into countless tiny fireballs, flying towards Qian Yu from all angles. Fire style. There was no fluctuation in his eyes, and Qian Yu even had his eyelids drooping, looking very lackluster. Even though it's Konoha from the fire country, it's a bit unreasonable that there's never been a Hokage that is famous for fire style. In that case, let's give you a meet and greet gift with fire style. Raised both hands, a simple afternoon print. Fire style Fire extinguishing. In the blink of an eye, the sea of fire is raging. This time, Qian Yu did not suppress the range of ninjutsu, and the fire style released with all his strength even dyed the sky red. As for those small groups of blue flames, they have long since been engulfed and assimilated. The complexion of Wooden Golem changed greatly. She knew that this time it was troublesome. In the ninja world, ninjutsu is divided into many types and many levels. Extinguishing fire, although not widely spread, is also a very representative fire-style ninjutsu. Many people know that this is B-level ninjutsu, and Jonin can master the ninjutsu. However, Hu Tm came to tell the old lady, B-rank ninjutsu is used from the hands of this kid, why is it more terrifying than S-rank? And Cloud Shinobi behind Wooden Golem is even more unbearable. Among these people, very few can use water-style ninjutsu. Even those who will, in the face of such a sea of fire, it is a drop in the bucket. Just when everyone was looking desperate and ready to die, Wooden Golem moved. What? After a sad and angry roar, she fell to the ground, the braid behind her also collapsed, and a huge blue chakra emerged from her body. In the blink of an eye, a huge blue monster stood in front of all Cloud Shinobi. Roar! An incomparably huge fireball spewed out of its mouth and collided with Qian Yu's arrogant fire. The fire was even more violent, but the forward momentum of the arrogant fire was finally stopped. Seized this opportunity, and the rest of Cloud Shinobi fled here in a hurry. But before they were happy for a few seconds, the devil-like voice sounded again. I don't seem to allow you to survive, do I? With a hint of doubt, Qian Yu put his hands together again. Wood-style Buddhist altar technique. A shrine bigger than a house emerged from the ground, and before Cloud Shinobi could react, he packed them all inside. Fire-style How Long Fire technique. Just like catching a turtle in a urn, many Cloud Shinobi could not break the confinement of the Buddhist shrine at all, and could only watch themselves being swallowed by the fire dragon. Who said fire style can't kill people? Today Qian Yu is going to revise fire style's name. Sure enough, the cage is heated, and the mana is boundless. Dozens of companions died directly. Wooden Golem in the state of two tails is completely crazy. The two's fire attribute chakra gradually dissipated, and Wooden Golem swung directly at Qian Yu with his sharp claws. He looks pretty good, but his temper is a bit violent. Lightly dodging the blow, Qian Yu also complained mercilessly. In terms of appearance, except for Naruto's Nine Tails chakra mode, Orway's tail beast is better. It exists like a spirit body, with a slightly mysterious black pattern. It can be said to be gorgeous without losing haki. Seeing that Qian Yu easily dodged his attack, Wooden Golem naturally refused to give up, and pounced on him again. But this time Qian Yu won't get used to him anymore and waved his fist directly to A. Boom! A huge hurricane erupted. Surprisingly, it was not Qian Yu, who was very disadvantaged in size, but Wooden Golem, who was in the state of a tailed beast. The entire tailed beast was blown away by a powerful force, and the huge eyes were full of inconceivable. In this regard, Qian Yu did not show any surprise. His three-dimensional attributes kept growing every day, and nearly 10 years later, the standard for measuring the physique of the ninja world was no longer applicable to him. Even without any skill, it was an unbearable pain for Wei. With one punch, the wooden golem was directly smashed 100 meters away, breaking countless trees, and it was the only way to restrain the figure. However, this only seems to be bluffing, and does not cause any substantial damage. In fact, most of the cage-level powerhouses can handle ordinary tailed beasts, with the exception of 9 tails. After all, there are 10 tailed beasts in the world, Chakra, and Kurama owns 8. However, the biggest difference between the tailed beast and the cage-level powerhouse is the number of chakra and the amount of vitality. BJFB, simply put, it is the difference between attacking high blood thinness and full development. Like Qian Yu's punch, if Danzo was hit head-on, without the resurrection coins, the whole person would be gone. And by wooden golem just felt pain, suffered some skin trauma, under the action of 2 tails Shikara, has basically recovered. Qian Yu jumped up, green chakra already burning all over his body. 8 inner gates katakana middle dot life gate katakana middle dot open. The strength and speed of the whole body have greatly increased. Inch strength open the sky. Another punch hit Wei's stomach with such force that Wei's eyes protruded. The cat's belly is very soft. Asshole. Qian Yu didn't care about this, punch after punch, and directly slapped the wooden golem. Thinking of the tragic injury of Maru Shinkosuke, his fist could not help but heavier by 3 points. No matter what the most beautiful Jinchuriki, cute cat girl, move the people around me, this is the end. This kind of stimulation to the flesh made Qian Yu a little excited. It's hard to find such a big bag. The mournful howl lasted for 10 minutes, and with every punch, a wooden golem would break a large piece of trees. Coupled with the collision of fire style just now, it was a good forest, and it was quickly ruined by the 2 of them. It's not that wooden golem didn't try to fight back, but Qian Yu was too agile, so fast that his paws or tail couldn't touch it at all. She is not a perfect-tailed beast, Jinchuriki, but she can control this form only by virtue of her strong will and partial approval of the 2-tailed Matabi. Now that his consciousness has been blurred, he has naturally withdrawn from the tailed beast. The restored wooden golem looks very miserable, and the originally beautiful face has also been beaten into facial features and distorted. The clothes on his body also became tattered, covering only key parts. Who are you? Reluctantly spit out these words, wooden golem tried hard not to faint. She was in a state of anger just now, and she didn't realize that what Qian Yu was using was wood style. There is also that terrifying giant force, which defeated her tailed beast form purely by physical skills. How can there be such horrible people in the world? Yo, still have the strength to speak. Qian Yu was a little surprised. Just now, he was 80% of the strength in the 3rd gate state. Jinchuriki was Jinchuriki, and he really had a lot of blood. You'll know later, it's better for you to sleep now. Holding the wooden golem's ankle, Qian Yu swung it around twice, and smashed 2 big holes on the ground. This time, by wooden golem is completely fainted. Carrying wooden golem on his shoulders, Qian Yu looked behind him. Come out, shish. The 4 Anbu jumped several times in a row and came to him. Grown-ups. It was the squad leader who spoke, and her body trembled slightly. As a bystander, she watched the whole process of the battle just now, and she was even more in awe. Not only her, but the other 3 team members bowed their heads even deeper to express their respect for Qian Yu. There are no fish that slip through the net. You go to rule the frontier ninjas and you can withdraw. Besides, you stay here to prevent other cloud shinobi from counter-attacking, and once you find a large army coming, you will immediately retreat without entanglement. Qian Yu waved his hand, and wooden golem mentioned it again while he was talking. This woman's skin is a bit good, and it always slides down when she carries it. Huh, is it an alternative old cunning? After receiving his order, several Anbu immediately acted. The capture of Futao Jinchuriki was a big deal, and with the temperament of Cloud Shinobi Village, he would definitely not let it go. Qian Yu must hurry back to the village and leave this big trouble to Tsunade to deal with. Most importantly, kill Danzo. Everyone had brought the knife to their hands, and Qianyu would never miss this opportunity. He didn't want to keep Danzo annoying all the time. He wasn't afraid. What would they do with Hinata Ino? And those two advisors, these two old guys would never watch him get rid of Danzo. They had to come up with a good way. Qianyu's eyes gradually became sharp, and with a flick of his body, he disappeared in place. The shrine slowly disappeared, revealing dozens of charred corpses inside. On the way here, he had already set up a large number of flying thunder god marks, and the speed of his journey was very fast. If there is time in the future, I have to leave a mark on the main towns of the Fire Nation, which is very convenient for missions. Half an hour later, Qianyu saw Konoha's gate. This time, instead of going through the main entrance, he teleported directly to Tsunade's office. In order to avoid Danzo knowing the news in advance, he ran away with his roots all night. Tsunade was startled when he saw him suddenly appear, and he was relieved to find out that it was Qianyu. "Aren't you at the border? Why did you come back so quickly?" Then she saw the wooden golem on her shoulder. "Is this a prisoner?" Qianyu opened Kagura's eyes, and found that there was no rude eyeliner around, and then opened a seal and forbidden method, and then said, "This is by Jinchuriki of the second tale of Wooden Golem, Cloud Shinobi Village." Tsunade stood up abruptly. "What did you say? This news is so amazing." Just after going out for less than a day, he captured Jinchuriki from Cloud Shinobi Village. Shizune also has a big mouth, and it will be difficult for him to accept this news for a while. Placing the still unconscious wooden golem on the ground, Tsunade and Shizune were taken aback. How miserable. What happened to this woman before she fell into a coma? Qianyu also talked about the ins and outs of the matter. Tsunade was naturally furious when he learned that Cloud Shinobi had actually sent Jinchuriki to the border. Jinchuriki is the trump card of a hidden village. Any time it is used, it means that the stage of war has reached a new level. Unexpectedly, this is just a stage of mutual testing. Cloud Shinobi is so generous. And that's not all. When Qianyu said he was ambushed by the root ninja on his way, Tsunade completely blew up. Boom. The table that was changed overnight was torn apart again under Shizune's desperate eyes. How dare this old man? He actually dares to think about you. If you make a mistake, how can the old lady pass on the lineage? As soon as the words came out, the other two sober people in the room were shocked. What do you mean? Master Tsunade is interested in Qianyu. Didn't she say leave it to me? Shizune's mind was buzzing. And Qianyu also subconsciously took 2 steps back. Sister Tsunade, can you wait a few more years? I'm still a child, and I don't want to be a father so early. Tsunade also reacted to his slip of the tongue just now, and his face was a little hot. What nonsense, I'm talking about the fact that you are spreading branches and leaves for the Senju family. She hurriedly changed the subject. I'll call Danzo over now and ask him to give an explanation. For Danzo, Tsunade is also very disgusted. I didn't know that I did dirty things back then, and even Orochimaru's defection had his share of credit. It's just that third generation has been protecting its base friend, and no one can touch him at all. Sister Tsunade, I want to get rid of this cancer completely. Hearing Qianyu say this, Tsunade frowned. Danzo is Konoha's advisor after all, especially the 2 old guys Utatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura will definitely stop us. After becoming Hokage, Tsunade has also become a lot calmer, and many things will not be handled by temper. Qianyu smiled slightly, and when he came back, he thought of a countermeasure. Let's kill first and then play. You help me hold down 2 advisors, and I will kill Danzo at the root. 0. When the boat is done, they won't be able to say what they want to say. Do they have to turn their face over a dead man and your Hokage? Tsunade's face was obviously moving, and she also felt that this method was very feasible, but she was still a little worried. Can you keep Danzo? If he runs away we'll be in big trouble. Qianyu said confidently, don't worry, I already planned it. With his current strength, it would be a strange thing to let Danzo run away. Okay, then do it now. Tsunade clapped his hands, made up his mind, and turned his head to look at Shizune. Shizune, you went and asked 2 advisors to come over and said that I was going to ask them to discuss how to deal with the next offensive of Cloud Shinobi Village. Then call 2 Anbu classes to block everything outside. Anyway, or Wei Jinchuriki was captured by Qian Yu, and Cloud Shinobi will definitely have a big move next. This reason is also very good. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Shizune nodded and went out with Dopu in his arms. Qian Yu also went out quietly and went to the base of the route without disturbing anyone. Through the back window, Tsunade stared at Third Hokage's Yan Yan. Teacher, if Konoha wants to thrive, then the rotten roots must be rooted out. Just watch here, how Qian Yu made Konoha stronger step by step. On the periphery of Konoha, there is a seemingly ordinary dwelling. The notorious roots of the ninja world are located in this inconspicuous location. The original route is actually very close to the center of the Konoha. Hiruzen is in the light, Danzo is in the dark. But after experiencing Uchiha's genocide, Third Hokage put all the blame on Danzo and disbanded the route. Guiying's name is well deserved. No matter what kind of pot, he can take it. It wasn't until the limelight passed that Danzo rerouted with Third Hokage's tacit approval and opted for a remote location. That way you can get better. In fact, Qian Yu has no prejudice against the practice of establishing the route, and he feels that the existence of the route is necessary. There is never only a bright side in the world, and creatures in the shadows also exist. Compared to the Anbu he had seen before, Genkai was more like 560, who was a real ninja. They walk among the shadows, completing one unknown task after another. But it is a pity that the person in charge of the route is Danzo. Not only targeting foreign enemies, but also their own people. In the beginning, the organization that was supposed to be right-rotted from the source. Danzo also has an amazing feature. In his view, no matter what he does, it is for Konoha's good, and only when he becomes Hokage can Konoha be truly brilliant. Brainwashing is not so thorough. What's even more amazing is that everything he does is weakening Konoha's strength, or making enemies for Konoha. Qian Yu observed it, and the family of 3 in the residence was also disguised as a root ninja. For his own safety, Danzo is still very careful, otherwise he would not live in such a hidden place. But it doesn't matter, none of the people here can escape today. With both hands forming a seal, Qian Yu separated out 4 shadow clones and came to the 4 corners. He swaggered to the front of the house. When they saw Qian Yu, the expressions of several root ninjas changed. Before they could say anything, he took the lead. Qian Yu's shape of one thunderbolt flash. The light of the knife with the arc pierced the throats of several people at an astonishing speed. At the same time, the 4 shadow clones who were in ambush at the same time formed their seals and shouted loudly. Ninja Katakana middle dot 4 red yang formation. In 4 directions, east, west, and northwest, a red transparent flame barrier was opened at the same time. Long before entering, Qian Yu evacuated all the civilians with illusion. Speaking of which, I have to thank Danzo, who wouldn't have been able to handle it if he hadn't moved his roots to such a remote location. Opening a secret door, Qian Yu walked in directly. The base of the route is located dozens of meters below, and there are countless levels and ninjas. But along the way, he didn't come across a single one. It wasn't until he reached the last floor that he saw that today's main lord, Danzo, was already waiting here. There are nearly 100 genin by his side. Aburame, who is known as Danzo's right-hand man, and Yamanaka's style are also on the list. At this time, Yamanaka looked at Qian Yu with a solemn expression, and only he knew the horror of the person in front of him. Cameo Qian Yu, you really came. Seeing Qian Yu appearing, Danzo's old face showed no surprise at all. Ever since Yamanaka Feng came back, he had guessed that Qian Yu would not let it go, and he had made preparations early on. Oh, seeing that Danzo was so calm, Qian Yu also became interested and sat on a chair casually. How did you find out I'm here? With his strength, the aura of his body was hidden, and it was impossible for the root ninja to find him. Well, the white eyes of the Hyuga family really do. But as Hyuga's son-in-law, Qian Yu knew that no one in the entire Hyuga family served at the root. Danzo raised the corners of his mouth proudly, and slowly unwrapped the bandages on his hands. Those 3 have the curse marks I set on their bodies. As long as they die, someone must have broken into the root. In the whole Konoha, besides you, who else is so bold? In order to deal with Qian Yu's revenge, he recently recalled all the genin who had been out on a mission. Qian Yu suddenly realized that co-authoring is to use the lives of a few people as an alarm clock. Then see you next time. Qian Yu smiled and ran upstairs in an instant. Follow me. A group of people rushed forward without hesitation. In Danzo's opinion, Qian Yu had failed the assassination and was about to leave. Danzo also hangs at the end, and he will never let this archenemy leave today. The best thing is to control it, but if it doesn't work, it must be killed. Only by removing Qian Yu can I influence Tsunade and become Hokage. But after everyone came to the ground, they were dumbfounded. A huge cuboid enchantment stands in the void, blocking this area. Looking at Danzo with an uncertain face, Qian Yu spoke softly. Danzo, the stage has been set up for you, how are you going to die? 4 Red Yang Formation. Facing this enchantment that was said to require 4 cage-level powerhouses to cast, Danzo was also a little worried. But he quickly calmed down. As expected of the descendants of Senju, the chakra is really enviable. When the conversation changed, Danzo's voice became cold and stern. However, you are just setting up a cage for yourself, do it. This is the end, today he and Qian Yu can only live one. After speaking, several ninjas formed seals at the same time. Wind-style wind-cutting technique. One after another, sharp and small wind blades formed secretly. Immediately after that, several others stepped forward. Fire-style fire bullet. Groups of huge fireballs were also spit out. As a root, the combat literacy is very high, and the combined attack of a group of people looks extremely terrifying. Qian Yu's eyes Mangekyo appeared, and he slapped the ground hard. Earth-style, earth stream walls. Several earthen walls rose one after another, bearing the attack of the enemy. In just a few breaths, the 2 earthen walls were breached, and a large number of ninjutsu still existed. It's quite capable. Qian Yu is really a pity, such a strong elite is actually in Danzo's hands. Although it is the earth flow wall that he released at will, but not everyone can destroy it. Pieces of silver feathers flew out, and Yamanaka's face changed greatly when he saw this scene. Sir, please be careful, Kamio Qian Yu can manipulate these ninja tools at will, and can change the size, very difficult to capture. From his perspective, he didn't find the Flying Thunder God technique on the feathers last time, he just thought that Qian Yu's speed was too fast. With his reminder, Danzo also paid a lot of attention, which made his subordinates raise the spirit of 12 points. Facing the overwhelming flying feathers, everyone cooperated to resist, and there were no casualties. Just as a smile appeared on Danzo's face, Qian Yu also made the next move. Qian Yu Flow Super Flash Gale Wind Dance Silver Wing 100 Flowers Burial. Silver white knife light flashed, leaving traces in every corner of the sky. In the next second, all the knife lights combined into a burst of blooming flowers, with a different kind of poignant and gorgeous. Ha, a little motion sickness. Fall to the ground, close the knife. Qian Yu couldn't help but let out a sigh. He was still too weak, and the Flying Thunder God was a little dizzy after transferring thousands of times. However, the name is still very appropriate, such a beautiful flower is his masterpiece. What, did you say 100 blossoms? As his sigh fell, the root ninjas, who remained eerily static, were like open faucets. Suddenly, a different number of knife marks appeared on the body, and a large amount of blood spurted out. Hundreds of flowers are coming. Danzo was stunned. In the last second, he was still a powerful figure of Konoha with hundreds of roots. And now, his roots gone. Lian didn't feel the sound of thumping, and the roots fell one by one. In the entire barrier, only Qian Yu and Danzo were left facing each other. With a genial smile on the boy's face, there is a sense of holiness under the sunlight. In contrast, Danzo's old face is even more ugly. At this time, the movement from the root side also alarmed many ninjas still in Konoha. No way, Konoha just saw a similar enchantment a few months ago. They all look like a bird with a startled bow. The few people who came earlier were fortunate enough to witness Qian Yu's stunning blow, but then their expressions changed. It's a big deal, and it's the root. In what way? The root is also a part of Konoha, and killing so many ninjas with roots in public, is Qian Yu crazy? Hey, Hai, that's your son-in-law, it's scary. Lu Ju also stood up straight at this time, no longer the usual laziness. Yes, Hai's voice trembled. On the one hand, he was horrified by Qian Yu's strength. On the other hand, he was daring. Lu Ju, you are the smartest. Hurry up and think of a way. I don't want my daughter to defect. Hai Yi panicked, but he knew that his precious daughter loved Qian Yu to the core. If Qian Yu was forced to take this path, Ino would definitely be gone. Glancing at his friend with pity, Akamaiki Dingza and Shikaku understood very well. The little padded jacket is gone, that's all, it's not even allowed to look at it. They weren't much better either. After all, the guy who had the best relationship with Shikamaru and Choji was this kid. Don't worry, since Qian Yu dared to do this, it is very likely that Master Tsunade has some intentions, so don't worry too much. As the military advisor of Konoha today, Lu Ju's vision is not limited, and he quickly found the key point. Hearing this, Hai Yikai was relieved a lot. Inside the barrier, Danzo's hand trembled slightly. Cameo Qian Yu, you openly attacked the root ninja, are you trying to betray the village? 3 question marks appeared on Qian Yu's forehead. Do you have any serious illness? At this time, why are you asking such a question? It's now. Danzo seized this opportunity keenly, and the bandage wrapped around his right eye burst. A Mangekyo with a 4-cornered shuriken pattern and Qian Yu face each other. Distinguished heavenly gods. Mangekyo spins rapidly, and Qian Yu's phenotype becomes dazed. When Danzo's Mangekyo becomes 3 tomo, he bursts into a wild laugh. Ha 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 ha, Cameo Qian Yu. What if you are a genius? You are not meant to be used by me. Everyone outside the barrier looked weird. Danzo, is this crazy? Come here, kneel down. Danzo shouted violently and was about to make Qian Yu kneel in front of him, but his voice was filled with excitement. Although so many subordinates have died, as long as Qian Yu is subdued, then everything is worth it. It's just. After a few seconds, Qian Yu didn't move at all, which made him a little confused. Cameo Qian Yu, come and kneel. Afraid that Qian Yu didn't know he was calling him, Danzo repeated it again, adding his full name. Stop barking, don't bark, rabbits don't understand what you're saying. Qian Yu's lazy voice came from behind Danzo. Rabbit. Only then did Danzo's expression change, and he raised his sword fingers to help him dispel the illusion. Then the real scene appeared. At his feet, a rabbit appeared at some point, rubbing his feet affectionately. It turned out that the target of his illusion just now was not Qian Yu, but a rabbit. From the perspective of outsiders, Danzo suddenly revealed a Sharingan and stared at the rabbit for a while. Then start yelling. Qian Yu knew about the existence of distinguished heavenly gods for a long time, how could he not guard against it? Although it is said that what he has now is the eternal level Mangekyo, the skill distinguished heavenly gods has been blown too far. The special code, someone in the previous life also said that the distinguished heavenly gods directly controlled Kagaya. Steady first, Qian Yu decided to let Danzo use this trump card first to feel at ease. There is also one in Itachi's hand, which must also be destroyed, so that it is foolproof. This rabbit was bought from the vegetable market by the way when he just came. Throwing a shuriken, Danzo directly killed the rabbit under Qian Yu's regretful gaze. I bought it for 800 taels, and he is going to take it home and braise it. Danzo, on the other hand, looked at Qian Yu angrily. Young people don't talk about martial arts. They even lied to me about the skills of a 70-year-old man. There were more and more people outside the barrier, and even Hiyashi rushed over with a group of Hyuga clansmen and looked at Qian Yu worriedly. But Udatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura did not appear. Tsunade's delay was successful. Today, Qian Yu not only wants to completely solve Danzo, but also brings him down. And Danzo is the same idea, he has no way out. Wind-style vacuum sphere. A continuous small column of air spit out from his mouth, like a bullet. The advantage of wind style is that it is intangible, which is extremely difficult to capture. Danzo is one of the most powerful men in Konoha, and the power of wind style is well known in the entire ninja world. Unfortunately, no ninjutsu can escape Qian Yu's pair of Sharingans. Under the dynamic vision capture, all the attacks were easily avoided, hitting the barrier to make a zzz sound. At this moment, 2 shuriken wrapped in wind-style chakra flew over. Bodu Yuhun picked it up and smashed one directly. Taking advantage of the situation to insert into the center of another shuriken, a trace of playfulness flashed in Qian Yu's eyes, and he threw it out like lightning. The distance between the two was only 10 meters, and with his strength, the shuriken came to Danzo in the blink of an eye. At a critical juncture, Danzo could only subconsciously raise his right arm to resist. The sharp chakra cut straight through the bandage. After a sound of gold and iron symphony, the solid metal seal also cracked layer by layer. And the secrets inside are exposed to everyone. The ninjas watching the battle widened their eyes in shock. This is... Danzo's face paled. In fact, owning a Sharingan is not a big problem. Didn't Kakashi wander around with Sharingan for more than 10 years? As the darkness of the ninja world, it's no big deal to get one from Uchiha, right? But when the arm was exposed to everyone, Danzo knew something was wrong. Even if human experiments are being carried out in the dark, some things just can't be revealed. Danzo could clearly see that there were already many ninja clan leaders who had changed the way they looked at him. Hiashi even took a few steps back, his eyes filled with anger. The same as the pupil family, their Hyuga family has been facing the coveting of others since the Sengoku era. In the ninja world, their eyes don't seem to be organs, but a kind of ninja tool. It's still hot swappable. A long time ago, Kurigakure was given the eye of the Hyuga family and regarded it as a treasure. Going forward, Cloud Shinobi Village will not hesitate to sacrifice a messenger, but also to provoke a war and win the eyes. If it wasn't for his younger brother Hyuga Hazashi's life for life, he wouldn't know where he is now. If Danzo can attack Sharingan today, will he have to attack White Eyes another day? If Danzo knew what Hiashi was thinking, he would definitely cry out. I only watch Hashirama Cells and Sharingan. Your White Eyes are really useless. But no one would listen to his argument at this time. Qian Yu also felt very disgusting, and almost suffered from eyeball phobia, but he still entered the actor mode instantly, and scolded righteously. Danzo, as Tsunade-sama said, you actually performed despicable human experiments and kept in touch with Orochimaru. That's right, he's going to crucify Danzo on the pillar of shame and never turn around. Nonsense. This old man is just making the best use of everything. Since the Uchiha family has perished, their eyes on me can be considered a contribution to Konoha. As for what Orochimaru, it's all your slander. At G at asterisk at percent carat. Danzo is still struggling, he knows that now he must bite himself to be the righteous side, for Konoha. Hehe, make a contribution to Konoha. Qian Yu sneered, then I want to hear, what contribution did Mr. Danzo make to Konoha? On the night of the Nine Tails Rebellion, where were the ninjas at the roots? On the day Orochimaru invaded Konoha, where were the ninjas at the roots? That's how you contributed to Konoha. Lies don't hurt people, truth is a knife. Qian Yu's words were like a sharp knife, stabbing into everyone's heart. Yeah, with so many big events, nothing has never seen a root ninja. On the contrary, when competing for resources, the roots often earn a lot of money. After thinking about this problem, everyone looked at Danzo not only with vigilance, but also with a touch of disgust. This kind of person who is full of righteousness, keeps thinking about Konoha, but doesn't do anything, no one likes it. Just like some bricklayers, in the name of people's livelihood, they made some ridiculous remarks. Low-income groups can rent out their vacant houses or use their own cars to work. Falling house prices are not good for young people to struggle. Because farmers should buy a house in the county seat, they drove back to the village to farm. This guy, Qian Yu's eyes were dazed for a moment, recalling all kinds of past lives, and finally remembering his mobile phone. Pooh, thinking of Danzo's same face as those people, his anger rose even more. Danzo, today, I am ordered by 5th Hokage, on behalf of all the ninjas you have persecuted, to kill you here. After speaking, the body turned into an afterimage and rushed up. Danzo's eyes narrowed, and the 10 Sharingans on his arms turned at the same time, waving Kunwu to meet Qian Yu. But his movements were too slow. Qian Yu dodged kunai with a short stature and stabbed Danzo in the opposite direction. Danzo continued to seal like nothing. Wind-style vacuum Lianyu. Failing a single blow, Qian Yu flew back, knowing that Danzo had already opened a Zanagi. Fire-style dragon fire. The right hand was held by the mouth, and the 3 fire dragons were spit out. Danzo's eyes were gloomy, He didn't dodge, there was only one thing in his eyes, and that was killing Qian Yu. The body flicker technique was launched, and suddenly appeared behind Qian Yu, and the kuwu in his hand stabbed fiercely. However, a blue skeleton lay in front of the two of them. With a ding sound, the pain was cut off without a sound. Even Qian Yu was stunned. Ku no stabbing Suzuo, I didn't expect it to happen to him. Everything is the choice of Stein's gate. Although he was stunned for a moment, Qian Yu's movements were not slow at all. The energy-enhanced Fudo Yusol became Susanoo's weapon, and he stabbed Danzo into a hole again. Body hollow, Danzo appeared in the distance like nothing. Susanoo, as the person who hates Uchiha the most, he naturally knows this ninjutsu. This means that Qian Yu has opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. An eye on his arm slowly closed. The people outside were shocked. What kind of ninjutsu is this, and it actually formed such a terrifying chakra into reality. Qian Yu smiled, 10, no, 11 eyes. Then let Danzo experience what it means to despair. Susanoo dissipated, Qian Yu charged up again, and started fighting with Danzo. Seizing a flaw and kicking directly, Danzo rose into the air. Lightning-style Reikiri. The right hand, shining with thunder, penetrated Danzo's chest. It's useless, Cameo Qian Yu, you can't kill me at all. Li Wanghao. Danzo appeared behind Qian Yu, and two more wind styles. A flying thunder god flew into the distance. Qian Yu smiled and stretched out two fingers. 2. Danzo, you've experienced 2 ways to die. Don't worry, there are more waiting for you next. After all, his hands formed a seal, showing a strange seal. Wood style. The tree world is born. The ground shook, dense trees burst out, and the entire battlefield was instantly transformed into a forest. The meandering tree trunk seemed to have its own consciousness, constantly chasing Danzo, restricting his movements. Accidentally, he was severely drawn and fell into the siege of the forest. Wood style. Hai, your son-in-law has awakened Wood style's grave. Lu Ju shouted in a gaffe. Not only him, but countless people became restless. The wood style that suppressed the ninja world of the first generation has finally reappeared. Hokage office. Tsunade looked at Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu with a smile on his face. I think what the two advisors said is very right. Two-tailed Jinchuriki Konoha must not stay, otherwise other countries will definitely be afraid of us. According to Qian Yu's plan, Tsunade brought in 2 consultants. At the same time, Anbu arranged a layer of sound insulation barrier on the outside to ensure that the movement from the outside could not pass through. At first, the 2 old people were still a little puzzled. Tsunade usually doesn't like seeing them, so why does he still send someone to invite them today? But when I saw Wooden Golem, I immediately understood. Such a big matter must be discussed with them. Although they were shocked by Qian Yu's strength and were able to capture Orei Jinchuriki alive, the 2 came from the same lineage as Sarutobi Hiruzen, and their way of thinking was surprisingly similar. Cannot fight, do not fight. It was with this cowardly mindset that he forbore Ed in every possible way and decided to sacrifice Hazashi to quell the war. Tsunade is naturally angry. How could she be used to these 2 old things with her temper? But in order to delay the time, she had to endure the nausea and their futility. Was talking, and the 2 of them were even more reckless when they saw Tsunade being so obedient. Not only to send it back by Wooden Golem, but to show that it was just a misunderstanding. To be honest, if it wasn't for Danzo, Tsunade would have exploded now. Wood style cutting technique. He was inserted into the body by the wooden thorn, and instantly countless spikes drilled out of his body. Danzo died again, and the death was brutal. Unsurprisingly, he once again backtracked his state. It's just that this time Danzo didn't rush up rashly, and his face was uncertain. Mangekyo Sharingan, wood style. 2 kinds of abilities that can pacify the troubled world appear in one person. What kind of monster is this? Cameo Qian Yu, are you really going to do this? At this time, Danzo was already resigned. He didn't want to waste his life here, he wanted to become Hokage. At the same time, I cursed in my heart, can't the 2 trash Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu see what happened here? It's been so long, why haven't you shown up yet? BJFB. Qian Yu sneered and pointed at Danzo. I think your death can bring earth-shaking changes to Konoha. You don't keep saying that everything is for Konoha, then please die. While speaking, the thunderbolt chakra on the Bodu Yusol quickly extended, which was a variant of the Chidori blade, and the effect was similar to that of the Chidori spear. The speed of thunder and lightning is extremely terrifying. Even if Danzo wants to dodge or seal resistance, it is too late. In desperation, he could only use another whole card. Wood style buried by roots. The white right arm suddenly exploded and turned into a big tree in the sky, forcing Danzo to move a few meters to the right, dodging the attack dangerously. Danzo, you not only transplanted Sharingan, but also used the gradual cells of the first generation. Qian Yu is also not annoyed, and once again broke a shocking news. Looking at the pale arm and the suddenly tree-like arm, everyone understood something even if they were stupid. There are a lot of ninjas who worship first Hokage and have started yelling. Danzo snorted coldly, disdained to defend. The most important thing for him now is to live. As long as he lives, everything is possible. Lightning style, wood style, Susanoo, then next. It's up to you, wind style spiral shuriken. Qian Yu muttered softly, and raised his right hand slowly. Accompanied by a sharp air humming sound, a spiral shuriken formed entirely by the wind attribute chakra rapidly formed and continued to expand. In the blink of an eye, it expanded to a diameter of 2 or 3 meters. Danzo looked horrified and pale. Apart from his Sharingan and gradual cells, what he is most proud of is his wind style attainments. But this move by Qian Yu completely shattered his inner pride. Whoosh! With a flick of Qian Yu's hand, the spiral shuriken was thrown out, and it continued to grow in size during the flight. 5 meters, 10 meters. Danzo couldn't move quickly because his right hand turned into a big tree. He could only watch helplessly as the spiral shuriken smashed into his body, a large amount of wind attribute chakra turned into thin needles, and the body of the wanton destroyer Danzo. Ah 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 ah! A series of screams came from Danzo's mouth. Although Izanagi can trace his physical state, but before that, all the pain is real. And then, it became Qian Yu's ninjutsu feast. Fire-style phoenix claws are red. Danzo was pierced by several red shuriken and died. Water-style water-severing wave. Cut in half by a water gun, pawn. Earth-style Tulong gun. It was directly penetrated by several thorns, and died. Qian Yu Liu Wandaofehua. He was pierced through the heart by countless flying feathers and arrows. For the next 10 minutes, Danzo staged a variety of ninja ways to die to all the watching ninjas. Because of this, Qian Yu's power was thoroughly displayed in front of everyone. By this time, almost all the ninjas in Konoha had arrived at the scene. Kakashi, Guy, Red Yuhi, Hinata, Ino, Little Sakura. Even the little lowly Hanabi came. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, swordsmanship, hitomijutsu. Qian Yu is like the darling of the creator, all of them are good at everything, and all of them are fine. No matter how much Danzo was struggling, he could find the right moment to use a new method to destroy one of his Sharingan. Gradually, the Sharingans on his arms closed one by one. With only the Sharingan in his right eye left, which belonged to Shisui, Danzo suddenly rushed up like a madman. Cameo Qian Yu. Since you won't give me a way to live, let's die together. Qian Yu's expression did not change at all, and he said calmly, Amaterasu. Black flame appeared out of thin air on Danzo, and he activated Izanagi for the last time in his life, ignoring Amaterasu's damage. In the blink of an eye, he came to Qian Yu who was standing there. A monster like you shouldn't exist in this world at all, go to Wangquan with me. There were square black and strange lines on his chest. Li Sixiong seal. At the same time, 2 exclamations came from outside the barrier. Cameo Qian Yu, stop. A large amount of black matter emerged from Danzo's chest, and memories flashed in his eyes. Hiruzen, it looks like it's my turn this time. But I didn't end up being Hokage. This is Danzo's expected line. Since his ending is doomed, he has to leave the most glorious side to the world like third Hokage. But, at this moment, Udatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura finally appeared. His mind finally collapsed. The last sentence left in the world became, "Can you 2 old men come earlier on the horse?" The voice fell, and Danzo, together with the surrounding area, directly turned into a circular black hole, and finally collapsed and disappeared. And Qian Yu had already left the sealed area through the Flying Thunder God technique. His face was also solemn. It is worthy of the closing bridge technique, horror, such. Cameo Qian Yu. When the two advisors saw Danzo's death, they were dumbfounded and pointed at Qian Yu with trembling fingers, unable to say a complete sentence. None of them were fools, and the longer Tsunade dragged on, the more they sensed something wasn't right. Mitokado Homura finally discovered the existence of the seal when Tsunade brought up the question of wooden golem for the third time. After breaking the seal, I saw the four red yang formation rising into the sky, still in the direction of the roots. Suddenly there was a bad feeling in my heart. Hurry up, or take a step slower, Danzo has activated the irreversible seal of the four elephants. Qian Yu, how are you, did you succeed? Tsunade's eager voice came, and a few jumps she also came outside the four red yang formation, followed by Shizune and a lot of Anbu. Qian Yu released Shadow Clone with a smile, and the enchantment dissipated. Lord Tsunade, the wood leaf borer Danzo has been killed. In front of outsiders, Qian Yu still wanted to give Tsunade a respectful title. Okay, Tsunade was overjoyed. After Danzo died, she felt that the air in Konoha was a lot fresher. Tsunade, what the hell are you trying to do? Why are you shooting Danzo? Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu finally came to their senses and looked at Tsunade angrily. Tsunade snorted disdainfully, what's the use of keeping this tumor? If it wasn't for the two old men and the third generation protecting him, I would have wiped out the roots long ago. Udatane Kaharu almost didn't get up and fainted. At this moment, Qian Yu stood up. The two advisors, Hokage-sama is just a whimper, Danzo is extremely sinful, not only with Uchiha Itachi to exterminate the Uchiha family, the purpose is to obtain the Sharingan. Not only that, he also collaborated with Orochimaru to transplant Shodai's Hashirama cells in order to balance the Sharingan in his body. Don't kill this kind of person, and keep it to continue to harm Konoha. Afraid that Danzo's death would be unproven, Qian Yu also looked at the crowd around. These people are witnesses, and they all saw Danzo use wood style, and his right hand became a big tree. The two were dumbfounded. Together with Uchiha Itachi, they knew about the genocide. But it can't be said that Danzo did this under the acquiescence of the village. In that case, what should the other ninjas think? As for the idea of Sharingan, it's not a big deal. It's not wrong to make the best use of people when people die. But with Hashirama cells, the meaning is different. Before they could say anything, Tsunade exploded first. The most beloved grandfather can't rest in peace even after his death, and the corpse is still so ruined. Boom! The already dilapidated venue suffered another angry kick from her. Udatane Kaharu, Mitokado Homura, do you two know about this? Tsunade had regretted letting Danzo die so cheaply and could only take his anger out on the living, staring at Udatane Kaharu and Mitokado Homura with red eyes. Once the two show any guilty conscience, she will definitely wave her fist without hesitation. No, Tsunade, don't be impulsive, I'm also shocked by this. Mitokado Homura repeatedly denied that the situation had reversed too quickly. Originally, they wanted to hold Qian Yu accountable, but they turned into mud. The two talked about it, and then they separated their relationship with Danzo. In the end, things ended so dramatically. Tsunade is gone, and she has to go back to deal with the aftermath of the destruction of the route, and inquire about Cloud Shinobi Village information. With Raikage's style, it may turn into a new war between the two countries. *##. The two advisors also left, and the Danzo incident sounded a wake-up call for them. This Konoha is no longer the Konoha before. The previous Sarutobi took them very seriously, but Tsunade is different, this is a very strong shadow. The new age has no ship that can carry them. Looking at the slightly embarrassed backs of the two, Qian Yu's eyes were deep. It's better if you know each other, but if you don't know each other. Qian Yu. Ino's eager voice came, and Xiao Ran came to Qian Yu's side, checking nervously, fearing that he would be seriously injured. The same is true for Hinata, who even opened her eyes to check Qian Yu's status. He was relieved to find that the chakra in his body was still as vigorous as fire. In the distance, Hong subconsciously took a step forward, but she saw two figures faster than her. After all, she was unable to take a step. Qian Yu carefully noticed Hong Yuhi's appearance, and made a mouth shape with a chuckle. Kurenai Yuhi deciphered the meaning, and her face was a little hot. How does this stinky boy know so much? Kakashi was a little puzzled. He was standing next to Yuhika, not knowing what was going on. But there was a seriousness in his eyes. Unconsciously, Qian Yu is so strong. As a former teacher who led the team, is he a little too decadent? With a sigh, he put away the intimacy heaven in his hands. Looking at the body really can't stand it anymore, it's time to work hard. Only Hyuga Hiyashi and Yamanaka Kaiichi were a little embarrassed. They looked at each other and didn't know what to say. Her own daughter and someone else's house are thrown into the arms of a man at the same time. This taste is really amazing. Hanabi looked angrily at her sister and the blonde, and snorted and turned her head away. Smelly brother-in-law, fiend. A clear blow came, blowing off the green leaves. The end of Danzo represents that Konoha has entered a new stage. Without the shackles of darkness, Qian Yu no longer has to worry about the future. The village at this time is his most solid base. Although Konoha gradually regained the tranquility of the past, the wind that set off the wave of the times has just blown. Urwei was captured, and the ninja world was slaughtered. The influence of these things is gradually spreading to the entire ninja world. Chapter 121. The Country of Thunder. Similar to the Land of Thunder is also a country built on a barren land. However, there are a large number of towering mountain peaks, and the sound of thunder is often heard from above, so it has the name of the Country of Thunder. The Cloud Shinobi village is located on the main road and surrounded by mountains. Raikage building. Boom. Raikage smashed the table under the expressionless gaze of Azabui, the secret art of the dark skin. If Shizune is here, she will have a lot in common with her. As a Cloud Shinobi village famous for its martial arts, 4th Raikage is also a grumpy one. By this time, he had received news that 30 Cloud Shinobi had died and were captured by Wooden Golem. Delui, assemble the army immediately. Since Konoha wants to fight, then fight. He even bullied his Cloud Shinobi village. Blinded by lightning, 4th Raikage has turned on lightning-style chakra mode. If it weren't for the shadow of a village, he would have personally led his troops to the battlefield. But this is not how the battle is fought. If he appears too early, the outside world will only think that Cloud Shinobi has no successor. 4th Raikage never thought about the right or wrong of things. Since Konoha killed his people and captured his people, he would take revenge. What if it was the war he started first? In the ninja world, there is no right or wrong, only interests. It's boring, we're going to fight again. Darui sighed helplessly, but turned around and prepared to gather the Lei Yin army. Azabui then said, Sir Raikage, I think you should think about it. Darui, don't leave yet. As the think tank of Cloud Shinobi village, even 4th Raikage often follows Azabui's advice. Darui also stopped. Taking out the small book in his arms, Azabui's face was serious. This time, the ninjas from Wooden Golem are not ordinary. If you underestimate the enemy, it is very likely that you will fall into a big trouble. Kamio Qian Yu, 13 years old, graduated from the ninja school a year ago and became a Jonin after 5th Hokage succeeded, setting the record for the shortest becoming a Jonin. Having been tasked with the Kingdom of Waves to kill and not kill again, Chunin tried to kill a large number of Sand Shinobi and Tonin. 10 days ago, I broke into the Wooden Golem camp alone, beheaded nearly 30 of our ninjas, and captured the Wooden Golem. The method is unknown. Speaking of this, the faces of the 3 people in the office became solemn at the same time. This record is too gorgeous. But it's not over yet. Azabui took a deep breath. The most important thing is here. 9 days ago, Kamio Qian Yu entered the Konoha route base alone. He killed nearly 100 people at the route, and used more than 10 different methods to torture and kill Shimura Danzo, the leader of the route. These include the 5 elements of ninjutsu, swordsmanship, taijutsu, ninja gear manipulation, Sharingan, and wood style. The assessment from the strategy department is, Cloud Shinobi is no match for you or Lord Killer B. Hearing wood style, 4th Raikage's eyes widened. Are you sure it's wood style? This word is too destructive to several ninja villages in the wild. The country of Tien, the village of sound and ninja. Sasuke has been living here since he defected to Konoha. For Sasuke, Orochimaru doesn't have any requirements, he doesn't need to go out on a mission, and he browses the ninjutsu scrolls here. He has only one purpose, and that is to cultivate a perfect container, and after 3 years, he will perform the living corpse reincarnation technique. At that time, he can use Sasuke's body to complete his revenge on Itachi. And Sasuke naturally understands this. In these 3 years, he is absolutely safe, and after 3 years, he will have to rely on his own abilities. Therefore, he seizes all the time to improve himself, and only under the pressure of death can he make rapid progress. On this day, Sasuke was still browsing the ninjutsu collection Orochimaru had in the library. Orochimaru's dream is to live forever and learn all the ninjutsu in this world. So, he collected a lot of ninjutsu as a collection. Whether it is useful or useless, it is all collected. Click. The door was pushed open, and Orochimaru walked in with Yakushi Kabuto with a strange smile on his face. Is something wrong? Sasuke asked without looking up. Without the shackles of fetters, his whole person has become more indifferent. Yakushi Kabuto was a little dissatisfied and wanted to reprimand, but was stopped by Orochimaru. Opening his mouth, Orochimaru's tongue brought a scroll to Sasuke. Resisting the nausea, Sasuke took the scroll in his hand and opened it. Looking at it, his face changed, and he clenched the scroll tightly. Kamio Qian-yu, Mangekyo Sharingan, Danzo, Root, Uchiha Genocide. Thinking back to the end of Gyuyifa, Sasuke also thought of what Qian-yu once said. Danzo, that is the high-level Konoha who participated in the Uchiha Genocide, so who is the other person? In fact, Sasuke's heart is still a little uncomfortable. He couldn't accept that he couldn't kill his enemy with his own hands. But I thought it was Qian-yu who did this. He endured it. With a cold snort, Sasuke looked at Orochimaru disdainfully. What are you trying to say? Are you resenting Kamio Qian-yu for killing your partner? I think you misunderstood. I just let you see how powerful your companions have become today, to give you some motivation. As far as I know, Kazuya also took Uzumaki Naruto out to practice, and Kamio Qian-yu also signed the summoning contract of Shibone Forest and became Tsunade's descendant. As my heir, Sasuke, I don't want you to be left too far. Orochimaru smiled grimly and took Kabuto out. Only Sasuke looked uncertain. It is impossible to count on the current self to defeat Kamio Qian-yu, his only hope is on Sasuke. As for the Danzo, he wanted to thank Qian-yu well. If it wasn't for Danzo's exposure of his human experimentation, he wouldn't have fled so embarrassed. Land country, wind country, water country. Almost all forces have obtained information on these 2 matters, but the details vary. Except for Oyemu, who was in the land of the land, who was somewhat afraid, several other countries did not respond. The land of wind has suffered heavy losses, and it is still an ally of Konoha. It is not something that can be done in the near future if it wants to turn its face. The country of water is still in seclusion, ignoring external disputes at all. Only Shao Organization, because of Qian-yu's matter, once again held an emergency meeting. This is the information that came out of nowhere. In a hidden cave, Pain stood at the highest point and told Akatsuki what happened between Konoha and Cloud Shinobi. With the Mayfly technique, the ability to gather intelligence is unmatched in the world. The information obtained is so detailed that even the other 5 major ninja villages cannot compare. Kakuzu first snorted coldly. It's just 5 kinds of ninjutsu plus taijutsu, as for wood style. It's not that Konoha hasn't appeared. Last time I went on a mission with Hidan, I saw a wood style user. However, those eyes need attention. After speaking, he also glanced at the silent Uchiha Itachi. Kakuzu is also very afraid of Sharingan's illusion. Alilili, Mr. Kakuzu, shouldn't you be afraid? Then let me do it. Lord Cthulhu has never received such a high-quality tribute. Hidan, who was beside Kakuzu, held his scythe and didn't care. He is not the kind of Danzo. With the blessing of the evil god, he is immortal. The art duo have no interest in Qian-yu, they only pursue their own art. Today's issue is not Kamio Qian-yu, but the war that may break out in the next. Pain spoke slowly, interrupting the immortal duo who were still arguing. Now Futao Jinchuriki is in Konoha's hands. If he dies, our plan will be postponed again. Today's Akatsuki organization is dormant in silence, collecting funds. One of the important reasons is that Three Tails was burned to death by Uchiha Itachi. If Erway dies, I don't know how long it will take to be resurrected. Does the leader mean that we want to join in and help Cloud Shinobi get Jinchuriki back? That's fine, but this war commission is not a small amount. Speaking of money, Kakuzu's little eyes shone a little. In his life, only money is the most important thing. As long as there is enough money, it will not be a problem for him to throw another shuriken at Senju Hashirama. Pain is also a little excited about this suggestion, but there is a big salesperson in the organization. However, he quickly dismissed his thoughts. Cloud Shinobi's group of fools will never use external force to deal with Konoha. Not everyone is as bottomless as Onogi, who has hired them many times. Pain's Rinnegan glanced at the audience and said indifferently, "We don't need to intervene in the war, we just need to ensure the safety of Jinchuriki's life. Someone is already responsible for this matter. I just tell you, don't go to the country of fire and the country of thunder recently. The province's attention will be drawn to us, and the meeting will be dismissed." After speaking, Pain's figure flashed and disappeared on the high platform. Kisame grinned and said with a little teasing, "Our leader is really like an emotionless puppet." Conan, who had not left, looked at Kisame in surprise, not sure if it was just a random joke or if he really found something. However, after observing for a while, nothing unusual was found. It can only be regarded as a coincidence. Instead, Itachi, he was keenly aware that Kisame seems to be a lot more lively recently. The chain reaction caused by Danzo's death is far from over, but it has nothing to do with Qian Yu. He kills and manages, so what does Tsunade do? Just make Hokage yourself. Under Tsunade's resentful eyes, he directly claimed that he was injured in the battle and was going to take a few days vacation. As for how to heal, of course, I need Miss Sister's warm and fragrant nephrite. Hinata and Ino have been detained by Qian Yu in the past few days, and as for their tasks, Yishi will take their place. At first Shikamaru and Ya were a little angry. It is better not to bring a dog. Then, after being cleaned up in a single manner, they became extremely well behaved. Who can believe that a dog is so strong that even Asuma was beaten to the point of doubting his life? With such a big guy following him on a mission, it's all about picking up money. Especially Ya's partner, Akamaru, almost offered Yishi as his ancestor. It's a real dog licking. During this time, Qian Yu also spoke out about Hong Yuhi. And if he didn't do it, he kept selling Fenghua Xiaoshui. Although Hinata was aggrieved, she was fine after being coaxed by Qian Yu for a while. But Ino quit, she was robbed. Even if she is furious and ready to cook cooked rice, she can't be the first or second, can't she be the third or fourth? This completely frightened Qian Yu. "Auntie, don't be impulsive. You have no more books like this, can you wait?" When Qian Yu was taken aback by Ino's boldness, Konoha executives also gathered together. Konoha has received the news that Cloud Shinobi Village is ready to rush to the front line. The mobilization of the ninja army is not as simple as the task of a few squads. Sufficient food and housing are the top priorities, which gave Konoha enough time to deal with it. Let's talk about it, whether this battle is to be fought or not. Tsunade folded his hands times, and did not take the lead in expressing his opinion, but let the people below speak freely. In this meeting, Udatain Kaharu and Mitokado Homura did not appear, and wisely chose to semi-retire. My Hyuga family completely obeys Hokage-sama's orders. As long as you give me an order, my Hyuga family will do my best. Hyuga Hiyashi was the first to express his position, and it was no surprise that many representatives of Jonin and Ninja were not surprised. Everyone knows the feud between Cloud Shinobi and the Hyuga clan, and Hiyashi's murderous appearance is obviously looking for a place. Hiei pulled Lelouju's sleeve. Kakashi sighed helplessly. "Lord Hokage, this battle must be fought. Cloud Shinobi Village is definitely not bluffing this time, but comes prepared. Since it is inevitable, then we must also take the initiative of the war in our own hands. Ino Shikacho has always been advancing and retreating together, and Luju's meaning is also obvious." Okay, Tsunade was very satisfied. She knew very well why the two were so active. "Then it's settled, Shikuji, you are the head of the frontier, and the Sarutobi and Shimura clans will be the main force in this battle. As for Kamio Qian Yu, let's be Luju's deputy." Tsunade looked around the audience, haki overflowed, and a few sentences set the tone of the war. Sarutobi Asuma and the current head of the Shimura family looked at each other with a wry smile. Did they dare to agree? They knew that Tsunade was consuming the strength of the two families, but they didn't dare to say anything more. Asuma is okay. He has been on a bad relationship with his father since he was a child. He has always been a lack of attention to the affairs of the family. When he was young, he ran to be the guardian of the 12 ninjas again, and he did not have a deep relationship with the Sarutobi clan. It was only because of his identity as the son of Hokage that he succeeded the patriarch. And because of Danzo, the Shimura family is now in fear every day, for fear that Tsunade will come to a reckoning one day. However, looking at it this way, as long as the merits are made this time, the Shimura clan should be able to continue, right? Tsunade is also very satisfied. If it wasn't for Qian Yu's casual words, there would be a lot of ninjas from the Shimura and Sarutobi tribes in the village. She would not have discovered that the two small families that had been following the Senju family had developed so well. This time, it is a good opportunity to weaken. As Hokage, it's a balance to play. Lord Hokage, I'm going to the front too. Hiashi couldn't sit still, stood up and volunteered. He has been waiting for this day for a long time. Tsunade thought for a moment, but agreed to his request. Early the next morning, the advance troops had already set off to build border fortifications and conduct intelligence reconnaissance. And Qian Yu also left Konoha with the main force on the third day. Before leaving, Ino Hinata looked at him with tears in his eyes, like a daughter-in-law who sent her lover on an expedition. Qian Yu gently rubbed the small heads of the two of them. When I finish this battle, I will come back to accompany you well. After he finished speaking, he followed the army. In the distance, Hong Yuhi also looked at Qian Yu quietly. Be careful, Uncle Hiashi, Uncle Haiyi, Uncle Shikuji, Uncle Dingzhou. In the large army, Qian Yu started the uncle mode, and everyone here has a close relationship with him. Either the future father-in-law or the elder of a friend. Just seeing Hiashi and Haiyi appear at the same time, he is also a little guilty. Qian Yu, this battle is up to you. If you have any ideas, feel free to come up with them. Lu Ju knew very well that although Tsunade said he was the commander-in-chief, the real master of the battlefield was Qian Yu. The essence of this war is to get more credit for him. In this regard, Lu Ju did not have the slightest dissatisfaction, on the contrary, he was happy to see it succeed. With his strength, no amount of credit would be able to sit in Hokage's position. The relationship between Qian Yu and the Inoshika Cho family is so good that when he becomes Hokage, the three families don't have to worry about future development. Uncle Lu Ju is joking, you are the commander-in-chief this time, but I do have an immature suggestion. Qian Yu responded modestly, and then looked at Kakashi maliciously. Tsunade's first big battle after taking office, she absolutely has to win, and she has to win beautifully. As one of the top elite jonin in Konoha, Kakashi naturally joined the team. Yuri Hong originally wanted to come, but was persuaded by Qian Yu to go back. She is good at illusion, and the effect on such a large battlefield is not very good, and she is easily injured. Kakashi teacher is Konoha's first lightning style powerhouse, let him compete with Raikage and lightning style. If he wins, the morale blow to Cloud Shinobi is absolutely unparalleled. Kakashi is numb. It has to be you. Does this mean he didn't die fast enough? Everyone laughed and didn't say anything. They all knew that Qian Yu was making fun of Kakashi. Due to the escort of a large number of baggage, the entire force was not moving very fast. After saying hello, Qian Yu came to an Anbu team. He also has another task, which is to guard Erway Jinchuriki by Wooden Golem. Seeing Qian Yu coming, a trace of fear flashed in Wooden Golem's eyes. After many days, she still can't forget what this man did to her. So hard, so fast, so rough. I don't know how to pity Shangxiu at all. In the end, she passed out in pain. Qian Yu glanced at Wooden Golem without any sympathy in his heart. Both sides are enemies, do you still need to pity Shangxiu? Not only that, but the more he sees Wooden Golem, the more angry he is. Without her, where would all the things happen? No, I have to add some material to her body and make some articles. With this in mind, Qian Yu instructed several Anbu, be alert and don't let anyone disturb me. Then, under the terrified eyes of Wooden Golem, he approached her step by step. What are you doing? Be patient for a while, and you'll be fine soon. It took 2 full days for the large force to arrive near the border. Randomly set up a tent as a temporary headquarters. Lu Ju took the information sent by the advance troop and sat in the main seat. Hiashi and Qian Yu, the 2 highest-ranking people, were on both sides. In fact, fighting is complicated, but it is essentially a game of intelligence and power. When the opponent kills, you dodge. If the other party leads the sheep, you will be impeccable. When I'm about to die, I quickly eat a peach. In short, it is necessary to respond reasonably and play cards calmly. Lu Ju frowned after reading the news he had collected over the past few days. The situation was not optimistic. The commander of Cloud Shinobi is Darui, the Raikage well known to the outside world. However, their true central figure is the 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee, who is said to be able to perfectly wield the power of the tails. Let's try a few times to find out the true power of the place. Lu Ju soon made a decision and arranged tasks. Li Wangjiao, Hiashi, Ding Zuo led the troops headed by the Sarutobi clan and Shimura clan respectively to sit on the 2 flanks. Kakashi leads an elite squad as a mobile force to support at any time. As for Qian Yu and him, they will stay in the headquarters for the time being. Leave the medical matters to me, I am a serious medical ninja. Qian Yu opened his mouth with a smile, and Lu Ju slapped his forehead, and then he wanted to come. Qian Yu seemed to be Konoha's medical minister. There are too many halos on this kid, and it is easy for people to ignore some. Qian Yu, you have wood style and Sharingan, always be ready to fight 8 Tails, don't take it lightly. Lu Ju reminded earnestly. On the battlefield today, Qian Yu is the one who can compete with 8 Tails, and the rest of them can only use their lives to fill up the tremor. Don't worry, Uncle Lu Ju, 8 Tails will just teach me. Qian Yu's sworn assurance made many people feel at ease. As a country of gangsters, the fighting style of Cloud Shinobi Village is also very simple. Meetings are normal operations. After the arrival of Cloud Shinobi's army, Darui led a raid on the western defense line guarded by Akamaiki Dingza, but was detected in advance by Bayan. Kakashi immediately rushed to support in this mobile unit, and fought against Darui. Looking at the stalemate, Cloud Shinobi had no choice but to retreat. This is also the reason why so many people covet the Hyuga family. The role it can play in the war is really too great. Whether it is a small-scale operation or a large-scale group fight, the enemy can always be expected to come first. Most of the ambushes also have no effect on ninjas with white eyes. You can even prepare in advance for an anti-encirclement. The battle is over, and the next thing to do is logistics. Qian Yu quickly arrived at the western base camp by relying on the Flying Thunder God technique he had prepared in advance. Summoning technique. With both hands on the ground, a huge Katsuyu appeared in the clearing. Katsuyu, I'll trouble you next. A gentle female voice came, leave it to me, Master Qian Yu. After saying that, Katsuyu split into countless small slugs, crawled onto the injured person, lost through Qian Yu's chakra biography, and everyone's wounds were healing quickly. Kakashi also got a Katsuyu and put it on his wound, his eyes swept across the audience. It's a terrifying healing ability, so there are basically no casualties. Ding Zuo was also surprised. Great, with Qian Yu's presence, we can have a big training. Konoha has not had a decent battle since the end of the Third Ninja World War, and the quality of the new generation is somewhat worrying. Now Dingza is not in a hurry to end the war, as long as immune to death, they can be rescued. Soon Konoha will be able to acquire a group of veteran ninjas with battlefield experience. Passing this method to Lu Ju through Haiyi, Lu Ju also pondered for 2 seconds before agreeing. Qian Yu would not object to this. He was still a lot of points away from redeeming Gedo statue. Over the next few days, the Konoha Shinobi players began to seek out the initiative and would not back down when they encountered Cloud Shinobi Village. Cloud Shinobi Ninja is naturally not cowardly. There are dozens of battles, big and small, every day. However, gradually, Cloud Shinobi also discovered something was wrong. The Konoha Shinobi are so powerful. Looking at the casualty report of his own side, Darui looked solemn. After a few days of fighting, nearly 100 ninjas were killed and countless injured. Their medical class had not rested for 2 days and 2 nights. At this time, the monitor of the intelligence class rushed in. Lord Darui, we have already investigated clearly. Kamio Qian Yu's medical ninjutsu is very terrifying, and those injured ninjas can go to the battlefield alive and well the next day. And our people can't recover so quickly, they can only be exhausted. Darui's expression froze. It's this Kamio Qian Yu again. Compared to Cloud Shinobi Village's gloomy clouds and low morale, Konoha's side is completely another style of painting. With Qian Yu as the backing, everyone has become daring to fight, and the potential between life and death can be stimulated the most. Many ninjas already feel that their strength has been greatly improved. Except for Kakashi. I said, why are you all in a situation where you fight whoever you fight? Qian Yu, Dingzhou, Hai and Kakashi gathered around a bonfire, roasting a wild boar that Dingzhou brought back from hunting. Today's Kakashi's opponent is Tutai, a veteran ninja, and the two fought a dead end again. Just ask Hataki to deal with it. With a sigh, Kakashi said helplessly after biting off a bite of the pork's thigh. It's not easy for me to tie. If it wasn't for Senior Dingzhou who swept the battle for me, there might be no one left. He can't do anything either. Sharingan is too restrictive to his chakra. The lava style of Tutai restrains Reikiri's advance. BJFB, however, if he can master that trick. Thinking of something, Kakashi subconsciously put his hand on his left eye. A few people chatted for a while, and Qian Yu also returned to the hut he built with wood style, ready to rest. This trick was specially learned by him, that is, Yamato. The scrolls of first generation are all fighting ninjutsu, and there is really no ninjutsu that is full of life like Yamato. It can only be said that this is also a talent. Going to be a subcontractor can definitely become a rich man in the ninja world. With Yamato's teaching, Qian Yu learned his ninjutsu skills in less than a day. What four-pillar house, even column home, mobile toilet, double stack. Now his residence is formed by the improved 3-bedroom and 1-hall technique. Qian Yu first came to Wooden Golem's room to check on her condition. The hand that was about to open the door froze, and his eyes suddenly became sharp. Swish, his figure disappeared into the room. Fire-style great fireball technique. A huge fireball appeared in the quiet forest and smashed towards a big tree. There was a strange man with a vortex mask standing there. Facing the menacing fireball, the masked man had no intention of evading, but strangely, the fireball passed straight through his body. Have you been found? Haki's voice came from behind the mask without any fluctuation. Who are you? Qian Yu appeared not far away, and the flying feathers behind him were flying disorderly. Of course he knew that the person in front of him was Obito, but he didn't point it out. Just play with a fool. Me. Obito's voice was faint. I am Uchiha Madara. The only hole on the mask flashed a red glow, exuding an incomparably evil chakra aura. One of the reasons he came here was to monitor Orway's status, and the other was to come for Qian Yu himself. Of course, look at Kakashi or something, just by the way. For the unexpected variable of Qian Yu, a complex of Senju and Uchiha, Obito also wants to use it for himself and serve Project Tsuki no Mi. So, he once again used Uchiha Madara's name to scare people. Sure enough, Qian Yu's expression instantly became solemn. Are you really Uchiha Madara? If it's a fake replacement. Obito answered without hesitation. Over the years, he has really regarded himself as a Madara. Qian Yu's face also softened a lot. No wonder I feel a little kind when I see you. Then I won't pretend. My real name is Uchiha Tajima. Uchiha Tajima. Obito didn't react a bit, and repeated it with a little doubt. In the trunk, a pitcher plant reluctantly came out. That's your dad. The scene fell into an eerie silence. I never expected to hear the names of characters from the Sengoku era from the mouth of a 13-year-old boy. And Obito is also stupid, showing his chicken feet so easily. Well, can't blame him. When I was in Konoha, Obito was a scumbag who couldn't remember things in his mind at all. And in Madara's hands, there is no specific learning, any knowledge. After all, I still eat, the loss of no culture. Obito also reacted. Qian Yu was taking advantage of him. Kid, although I'm not the real Madara, what's wrong with me calling myself Madara who inherited his will? Qian Yu lowered his head in a contemplative manner, and suddenly raised his head at a very fast speed. His eyes had turned into Mangekyo. Then call Dad to listen. Obito didn't notice for a while, and even fell into an illusion. Father. Swish. Qian Yu's figure flashed, and he came to Obito's side instantly, holding Rasengan in his hand, and slammed it down. Boom! The uncle's trunk was directly discounted, and at the last moment, Obito finally woke up from the illusion and activated Kamui. Qian Yu's body passed directly through Obito's phantom. A trace of murder flashed in Obito's eyes. Since Cameo Qian Yu is so uncooperative, then kill it. Looking at Qian Yu with his back completely exposed, Obito's palm suddenly burst into countless thorns. Wood-style cutting technique. Swish. Launching Flying Thunder God again, Qian Yu returned to his original place. Tisk. Space ability is really troublesome. He pouted helplessly. Obito's life-saving ability was comparable to Orochimaru's. Usually he used space ninjutsu to bully people, but today he was punished. HMPH. Flying Thunder God. Obito snorted coldly, his figure gradually distorted, and he didn't intend to fight anymore. The two are in a situation where they can't help each other, and further fighting will only reveal more information. Ju also took a deep look at Qian Yu, and his body slowly merged into nature. Flying Thunder God. 2 kinds of blood follow the limit. If the reincarnation of Indra and Ashura of this generation had not been determined long ago, I would have doubted whether this was a combination of the two. Even so, Qian Yu will be a great enemy in the future, and he must find a way to deal with it. Watching Obito and Ju flee one after another, Qian Yu didn't stop him either. One of these two people is not the body, and the other has space ability, and it is useless to block them. This time I just came out to say hello to Obito and see if I can solve it directly while he is careless. Too bad it's just a little bit. Shaking his head, he disappeared in place in an instant. There is only one broken tree left, which proves the battle that took place here. The next day, Qian Yu didn't tell what happened last night, and came to the command tent to check in as usual. Before Killer Bee appeared, his task was to wait to treat the wounded. The only difference today is that it didn't take long for a Hyuga ninja covered in blood to break in. Cloud Shinobi rallied, launched a general attack, and the 8 tails appeared. A few words exhausted all his strength and fell into a coma. Qian Yu dodged in front of him, urging the healing technique with all his strength. Akamaiki Dingza and Kakashi looked solemn, but not too nervous. Both of them were killed from the battlefield, which is nothing at all. It's just that their eyes were all fixed on Qian Yu. In terms of strength, Qian Yu was the only ninja who could defend against 8 Tails Jinchuriki, and in terms of identity, he was the deputy commander. Shikamaru sits in the middle army, where he is the biggest. Gather all the troops, send a letter to Uncle Lu Ju, and send people to support. I will leave 8 Tails Jinchuriki to me. Qian Yu made a very calm judgment, and after spending a few minutes saving the Hyuga ninja from danger, he also came outside the tent. At this point, the hundreds of Konoha shinobi from this faction had all assembled. Qian Yu, say a few words to boost morale. Kakashi reminded in a low voice. Qian Yu nodded slightly, his eyes met everyone's slightly, and everyone's eyes were filled with respect and admiration from the heart. In the past few days, although Qian Yu did not kill the enemy, countless people were snatched back by him from Shinigami. As long as he is there, it is the most solid backing of all ninjas. Someone once asked me what a ninja is, and he said, the so-called ninja is a person who can endure, and the important thing is the perseverance that never gives up. Qian Yu said softly, but the voice fell on everyone's ears. Many people's eyes lit up and seemed to think this was a good explanation. But Qian Yu shook his head slightly. I told him, this is your ninja, not mine. Kakashi thought thoughtfully. He had already guessed who this person was. However, he was also curious, what exactly is the ninja in Qian Yu's eyes? Under the gaze of hundreds of people, Qian Yu slowly expressed his understanding of ninjas. The so-called ninja is to use strength to make others endure all their actions. If you don't accept it, then beat it. Even if there is a great dissatisfaction, you have to endure it for me. Many Konoha shinobi. Can it be explained that way? Qian Yu continued. What is the will of fire? Everyone shook their heads one after another, and they no longer dared to guess at random. Where the leaves are flying, the fire is endless. I know wood style and fire style again, so my will is the will of fire. Qian Yu shouted. Now Cloud Shinobi invades the border of my fire country, which makes me uncomfortable. My will is to kill. Kill, 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 hundreds of people shouted in unison, although Qian Yu's will of fire sounded outrageous. But it feels so cool. Come with me. Seeing that the atmosphere was fully mobilized by himself, Qian Yu smiled with satisfaction, waved his hand, and rushed out of the camp with hundreds of ninjas. Dingzu looked at Kakashi strangely. That's how you usually teach Qian Yu. Kakashi's exposed right eye also revealed blankness, and said numbly, I am the guide of Jonin, and I am not responsible for theoretical knowledge. Ding Zuo felt a pain in his heart and wanted to run home immediately and ask Choji if the ninja school taught him that way. Cloud Shinobi, led by Darui and Killer Bee, also quickly approached Konoha's camp. Ever since he found out that Konoha could not be beaten in the war of attrition, Darui made a decisive decision and launched a general attack. With Killer Bee as the perfect Jinchuriki, he believes that Cloud Shinobi will win. Finally, on a Gobi desert in the middle of the two village strongholds, Konoha's ninja and Cloud Shinobi finally meet. There is one more chapter, take a break and continue to come back. Baga, the road, the empty road. Boy Konoha, very handsome, inexplicably disgusted, shit. Killer Bee with dark skin, light yellow hair, black sunglasses, and 7 ninja knives saw Qian Yu in the imperial robe at a glance. That outfit, along with Flying Thunder God, reminded him of another of Konoha's geniuses. Namikaze Minato, the existence that neither he nor his eldest brother I could take down. Be careful, I feel the terrifying chakra from this kid, is he a tailed beast or I am a tailed beast? 8 Tails Gyuki's voice resounded in Killer Bee's mind, with a solemn color. I don't know if it was an illusion, he seemed to feel his chakra from Qian Yu's body. In fact, it was not only him, 9 Tails also felt it during his contact with Qian Yu. 567, is just that Qian Yu has always been mysterious, and 9 Tails is too lazy to think about it. There are many people who have his chakra, and there is not less than one Qian Yu. Golden partner, Yuki and Bai, fearless, yeah. Killer Bee made a rap gesture, saying so, but his expression was much more serious. Today, not only does he have to defeat Konoha, but he also has to be rescued by Wooden Golem. It's really unpleasant to hear this word on this day. Although the distance was 1,000 meters, with Qian Yu's ear, it was easy to hear what Killer Bee was saying. His face also became solemn. He waved his hand to alert the army of ninjas behind him, and the ninjas of Cloud Shinobi Village had already launched the attack first. Ninjas in this country mainly use lightning style and water style as their main attributes. With the combination of the two, their power is greatly increased. Qian Yu's eyes have eternal Mangekyo patterns, and the huge blue skeleton takes shape, and is constantly weaving flesh and blood to form armor. In the blink of an eye, a half-length crow Tengu Susanoo surrounded Qian Yu tightly. Along with Qian Yu's seal, the raven dog also learned a lot. Bai, be careful, let your army fall back. Yuki roared wildly in Killer Bee's heart, he had already felt how huge the chakra mobilized by Qian Yu was. All back, spread out. Killer Bee heard Yuki's warning without the slightest hesitation, and immediately gave the order. Although it is somewhat unclear, he still obeys the order and spreads out around. Has it been discovered? Qian Yu was hunting, and the powerful chakra fluctuations made Susanoo's armor more solid. He didn't care about Cloud Shinobi's actions. It's just a meet and greet. Chen India, not. This is the Banda of Wind style. August autumn is high and the wind is roaring, rolling the triple grass on your house. Wind style Nanmadu. Thunder on the ground, blue sky and strong wind. As Qian Yu's voice fell, 3 huge typhoon eyes appeared in front of him in an instant, moving inexorably towards the Cloud Shinobi camp. I don't know when, Susanoo has become 3 heads and 6 arms, 6 hands nodded. This chakra, a ninja from a clan is going crazy. Hyuga Tokuma has never seen a ninjutsu that requires so much chakra. This is literally 100 Kakashi unleashing ninjutsu. Kakashi, who was beside him, raised his arms to defend against the dust, and a bunch of question marks appeared on his forehead. Compliment quickly, what unit do you take me for? Dodge, dodge, Killer Bee roared furiously, and behind him stretched out several huge octopuses, trying to block the typhoon for the Cloud Shinobi ninja. Killer Bee, it hurts. Yuki scolded in Killer Bee's heart, the water style and lightning style that Cloud Shinobi used to attack Konoha were all swept back by this wind and vented onto his tentacles. For a time, the water flowing with electricity and the small wind blades formed by the strong wind made Gyuki extremely sour. But even so, Cloud Shinobi's ninjas suffered a lot. Many people's bodies were in a state of paralysis, and even the unlucky ones were directly killed by the ninja tools thrown by their companions. Attack! Qian Yu dispersed Susanoo, and Budu rushed over with a finger. Kill! After such an outing, even though the number of people is much smaller than that of the other side, the morale of Konoha's ninjas is high. For a time, the detonating talisman, the Kuwu Shuriken overwhelming the sky. The Fire Style class displays a combination of Fire Style, and with the cooperation of the Wind Style class, a combination of ninjutsu is formed, and the power increases sharply. Hateful! Killer Bee is no longer in the mood to use his strange mouth fetish, staring at Qian Yu. Knife tricks. In an instant, the 7 knives were erected by various parts of the body. Arrogant heron cutting knife. With various parts of the body and physical skills, the 7 knives are flexibly used, and the increase of lightning-style chakra can greatly improve their speed. In the original trajectory, after Urzuzi obtained the Mangekyo Sharingan, he excitedly brought the Eagle Squad to capture 8 tails. As a result, if he had to fight with Killer Bee, he was taught backhand. If he hadn't bit Shongolan, he would have died instantly. However, Qian Yu is not a half-hearted person like Urzuzi. The two figures suddenly intertwined, and for a split second, the sword light shot into the sky, and the clanging sound was endless. In just 1 second, the two fought no less than dozens of times. Qian Yu has always believed that the most powerful thing about Sharingan is not all kinds of strange pupil techniques, but the power of observation that keeps getting stronger with the degree of eye-opening. Mangekyo shuddered wildly, knowing the trajectory of Killer Bee's attack. With 7 ninja swords protecting his body, the current Killer Bee is like a hedgehog, covered in thorns. With only 1 knife, Qian Yu blocked all attacks from all directions, and even took the time to launch a counterattack. The speed of the two became faster and faster, and Killer Bee became more and more shocked. He even used the ultrasonic thunder knife. Qian Yu's expression didn't change. While competing in swordsmanship, he was constantly looking for an opportunity for Killer Bee to meet each other's eyes. One after another, he used small illusions. Although with the help of Gyuki, these illusions will be solved quickly, but it will take time. Just half a second of sluggishness can make him leave several scars on Killer Bee's body. Don't compete with him in swordsmanship, you can't beat him. Gyuki's voice also sounded at the right time. A trace of unwillingness flashed in Killer Bee's eyes. This is the first time he has fallen behind in the competition of swordsmanship. However, this is a war, not a competition. Come on, Gyuki. Half-tailed beast. In an instant, the tailed beast chakra surged out, and Killer Bee's body was quickly covered with the red-tailed beast coat. The extra tail blocked Qian Yu's chop. Qian Yu took advantage of his strength to step back a certain distance and put the knife away. Roar! Killer Bee, who was transformed into a half-tailed beast, roared in the sky, and the sound shook the world. The ninjas of the two countries, who had been far away from their battles, stepped back a certain distance to avoid being affected. Yin and Yang chakra is fused in a ratio of 2:8 to form a high-concentration chakra ball. Qian Yu, be careful, this is Tailed Beast Bomb. Kakashi was already in 3-tomo state at this time, and he looked horrified. He recalled that night 13 years ago. If it hadn't been for the 4th generation to move Tailed Beast Bomb, the entire Konoha would have been destroyed. The 3-tomo in his eyes turned frantically, as if there was a burst of energy about to burst out of his body. But it still fell short. Kakashi hammered the ground angrily. Almost, just a little bit. He had a hunch that if that power appeared, it would definitely be able to do something. Tailed Beast Bomb spewed out of Killer Bee's mouth like a cannonball. Although it was not as huge as a complete tailed beast, the density of chakra was also extremely terrifying. As one of the most terrifying attacks in the ninja world, just flying over the ground brought a deep ravine. Qian Yu's right hand was raised, and Rasengan's volume continued to grow. This move, he intends to take it hard. Ninfa Super Self TM takes the kidney and liver. A Rasengan that looked bigger than the Tailed Beast Bomb appeared in Qian Yu's hands and directly met the Tailed Beast Bomb. The dazzling blue ball of light collided with the pitch-black tailed beast bomb, and the entire battlefield felt their ears buzzing and entered a brief deafness. Subsequently, boom, a strong explosion erupted from the center, and the shock wave caused by it spread in a circular shape and spread to the surroundings, blowing a lot of people tossing around. Qian Yu was also thrown a distance, and just as he stabilized his body, the beast-like killer bee rushed over again. Life door open. Emerald green chakra flames erupted all over his body, and Qian Yu punched him like lightning, knocking him to the ground again. After a short delay, the ground suddenly cracked, and huge rubble splashed. Yes, this battlefield is completely unstoppable. Cloud Shinobi and Konoha's ninjas stopped fighting very tacitly and kept retreating. What's the use of killing them to death? They still have to wait for the results of the two bosses. 8 Tails is worthy of being the tailed beast next to 9 Tails. It took a punch from Shengmin, but it was not affected much, and it was still alive and well. If it was our way, I would be holding my head long ago. Shaking his dizzy head, Killer Bee's aura soared, and he spit out several small light cannons one after another. Susanoo reappeared and blocked the attack. 2 Chakra Tomo threw out, causing another explosion. Yuki, turn into a beast. Killer Bee and 8 Tails have the same mind, and instantly transform into 8 Tails. A giant bull with an octopus tentacle tail appeared in front of everyone, and one of the tentacles on the top of its head was broken. It was chopped down by 4th Raikage when he was young. The height of 60 meters brings an unparalleled sense of oppression, and many Konoha shinobi feel that they have difficulty breathing. And the Cloud Shinobi ninjas were cheering, with the full 8 Tails in, and they won. Kakashi, what should I do? Ding Zuo looked very small in front of Yuki. Qian Yu was a little worried. Don't worry, we are all dead, Qian Yu will be fine, don't forget, he is the master of Flying Thunder God. Kakashi looked solemn, and the Konoha shinobi commander continued to retreat. 8 Tails, it's ugly. A trace of disgust flashed in Qian Yu's eyes. Just you Cloud Shinobi village have tailed beasts. We also have Konoha. Chiba said, and began to make seals with her hands. The inner world of Killer Bee. Oops, Konoha's tailed beast. They won't bring that nasty guy over here, will they? Yuki's voice was a little hairy. He didn't want to meet the pervert of 9 Tails. As we all know, when Sage of 6 Paths split the 10 Tails chakra, either the swordsmanship was not very good, or the math was not very good. 1 9 Tails, 1 1 Tails, 1 9 Tails, and 1 2 Tails. Although 8 Tails is the strongest among the others, it can only resist a few more times when encountering a stinky fox. Seeing 8 Tails so panicked, Killer Bee was also a little panicked. Summoning technique. With a clapping of both hands, the smoke dissipated, and a person appeared in front of Qian Yu. By Lord Wooden Golem. By Wooden Golem. Cloud Shinobi exclaimed. Unexpectedly, it was the second tail Jinchuriki of their village who was summoned by Qian Yu summoning. What will the Wooden Golem be called out for, as a shield? Killer Bee's voice was a little frightened, and the speed of condensing chakra was much slower. However, in the next second, he was about to bite his teeth into pieces. By Wooden Golem, let them experience the power of the second tail. Whole body black seal rune by Wooden Golem blinded, completely lost consciousness. As Qian Yu's Mangekyo began to spin, the same lines appeared in Wooden Golem's eyes. Roar! The ground shook, and the Wooden Golem transformed into a blue demon spirit, and its bloodthirsty eyes shone at Yuki in the distance. Qian Yu stood on top of Erwei's head, looking very excited, like a child who got a new toy. Come on, Killer Bee, let me see the strength of 8 Tails. After finishing speaking, Erwei's mouth spewed out a large ball of fire and rushed towards 8 Tails. In desperation, Killer Bee can only start a hand-to-hand fight with Erwei. At the same time, let Yuki try to awaken the controlled 2 Tails through the telepathy between the tailed beasts. It's a pity that Erwei and the consciousness of Wooden Golem were blocked by Qian Yu with layers of seals, and Yuki's throat was broken, but it didn't work. Under Qian Yu's control, Erwei deliberately moved towards the Cloud Shinobi ninja with 8 Tails. Although 8 Tails is stronger, Killer Bee does not dare to use too heavy hand, so he can only entangle himself. Boom, boom, boom. The tailed beast can turn over at will to set off boundless waves, destroying large forests, not to mention fierce fighting. After some melee, dozens of Cloud Shinobi ninjas were killed by the aftermath. Can't go on like this. Killer Bee's heart was ruthless. Two huge arms firmly restrained Erway's movements, and several tailed beast bombs spewed out of his mouth. Ow! Erway's scream was extremely terrifying. It's still a little bit worse. Qian Yu frowned and was bombarded by several tailed beast bombs. The severe pain made Erway's seal loosen a little. If it wakes up Erway a few more times, it won't be fun. It still seems to have to intervene. With a thought, Susanoo turned into armor and wrapped Erway. Dress Susanoo. The blue armor is put on the blue cat demon, and it looks more fierce. The power of the second tails, which received the blessing of Susa, increased greatly, and he broke free from the control of 8 tails at once, and took the opportunity to scratch twice with his claws. 8 tails staggered back and bumped into a large forest again. Bye, what should we do now? With that kid around, we can't save the cat at all. Yuki was also suffering from a headache at this time, and the battle was overwhelmed. Sure enough, those who have those eyes are not good people. Killer Bee took a deep breath. Now that the situation was bad, he had to make an early decision. Yuki, let's fight again. 8 tails, the same as Killer Bee, understood his thoughts instantly, and the 8 tentacles gathered around their mouths. A tailed beast bomb, much larger than before, quickly condensed. Qian Yu showed no weakness, controlling Erway and preparing to release tailed beast bomb. The 2 black balls were eaten by the tailed beast at the same time, and a huge light cannon was launched, colliding together. Boom! Another big explosion appeared, and the shining light even closed the eyes of the members of the Hyuga clan. I'm really going to be blind when I look at it. The huge energy scraped the ground again and again, and before you knew it, the terrain here was already dozens of meters lower than the surrounding area. Qian Yu snorted coldly. Pupil power poured into Susanoo frantically, and Erway's power continued to increase. Under Killer Bee's horrified gaze, the collision point of the beam of light gradually moved towards him, and the speed was gradually increasing. In the end, the 2-tailed beast bombs slammed into 8 tails' body under Qian Yu's suppression. Boom! 8 tails with a body of 60 meters was directly blown away, turned into a meteor, and disappeared in an instant. Killer Bee-sama, retreat! Darui exclaimed, and immediately ran in the direction Killer Bee flew away. Fortunately, that was the direction of the Land of Thunder. Otherwise, Cloud Shinobi Village is estimated to be captured by another Jinchuriki. The rest also fled in a hurry. What are you doing, chasing? Qian Yu shouted at Kakashi and the others angrily. They just woke up from a dream and formed a team to chase after Cloud Shinobi's ninjas. This is a great opportunity to make a fortune. In times of war, villages will give quest rewards based on the level of enemies they destroy. Although it is not as rich as the tasks issued by the outside villagers, it is also very good. The most important thing is the accumulation of merit points, which can be exchanged for powerful ninjutsu that cannot be exchanged at ordinary times. Qian Yu disperses Susanoo, controls Erway and turns into a coma by wooden golem. Some pity looked at her. This woman is very useful, and I really don't want to return it. In ancient times, Uchiha Madara rode 9 tails to fight against Senju Hashirama. Today, Kamio Qian Yu also rode 2 tails. Is it reasonable? However, Tsunade told him that even if he wins against Cloud Shinobi, he can only extort 1 wave, and it cannot be too much. If Cloud Shinobi reaches a critical juncture, Konoha will face a situation of enemies on all sides. Even ally Sand Shinobi would defect. After all, no one wants to see a Konoha with a strong desire for war. Because he is too strong. However, Qian Yu looked at his hands. It's still not strong enough. There is still a Nagato in this ninja world who can compete with him, and an Obito doing things in the dark. Once all the enemies appear together, he is also incapable of being cloned. Let's grow again. Boom. Cloud Shinobi Village, the desk in Reikage's office shattered again, and even the floor was hit with a punch. Mabuyi is still expressionless, and even has some meanings for granted. She just regrets why there is not a wood-style ninja in the village. In that case, the money saved every year is enough to release a few S-rank missions, right? Where the hell did this kid come from? At this time, 4th Reikage had already learned that Killer Bee was defeated, and the Cloud Shinobi ninja was hunted down. Fortunately, Darui found Killer Bee, who was in a coma at the time. Although he was seriously injured, his life was safe. But the front line has completely collapsed. I'm going to the front in person. Fourth Raikage said as he was about to rush to the battlefield, but was stopped by Mabuyi. Did you go and have a way to deal with Kamio Qianyu? In a word, he was directly silenced. Indeed, as Raikage, he is extremely confident in his own strength. Compared to Killer Bee, if you say he is stronger, he is not much stronger. Even in the face of Killer Bee, who is completely endowed with beasts, it is a tie. Now that Killer Bee can't beat him, will it be useful if he goes? If the two join forces, unfortunately, Bai has been seriously injured. What should we do? Just watching Konoha bullying as Cloud Shinobi. Fourth Raikage stared, and asked Mabuyi to give an explanation. The black-skinned female secretary sighed helplessly, surrender, we will get Wooden Golem back through negotiation. Who? Fourth Raikage took several deep breaths in a row before he managed to calm down. Let me think about it for 2 more days. In the next battle, Qianyu did not intervene. Konoha's ninja morale was high, and Li Jiao's all the way into the country of Yuno, came to the borderline of the country of Yuno and Cloud Shinobi village. This is the tragedy of a small country. In fact, from the map, the country where the 5 ninja villages are located has no borders at all, and there are a large number of small countries as buffers in the middle. In normal times, we live peacefully together, but when a war begins, the boundary lines of the effect are just like those drawn in pencil, and are modified at will. This is also the most tragic place in the Land of Rain. At the same time, he bordered the country of Earth, the country of Fire, and the country of Wind. Not big on your territory, where to fight. Killer Bee was sent back to Cloud Shinobi village, although Fourth Raikage sent some reinforcements. However, Cloud Shinobi's morale has been demolished, and facing the Konoha who is supported by Qianyu, they are losing a lot. Finally, a week has passed. Cloud Shinobi village declares its surrender, and Fourth Raikage personally comes to the front to negotiate with Konoha. For such a result, Konoha is not surprised at all. Fourth Raikage is a jerk, but not a fool. With one of his own Jinchuriki captured and the other lost to fight, he alone cannot cope with the current Konoha. If it goes on, Fourth Raikage is also afraid that Rock Shinobi, who has been watching the fire from the other side, will jump out and pick up a bargain. You know, Cloud Shinobi and Rock Shinobi are feuds. His father, 3rd generation Lei Ying, was consumed to death by 10,000 Rock Shinobi ninjas. When the news reached the Hokage building, Tsunade first laughed wildly, waved his hand, and handed over the control of the matter to Lu Ju. Her request is one, the tailed beast can give it, but it will make Raikage hurt. Uncle Lu Ju, just let me go, Hinata and the others are still waiting for me in the village. Qianyu had a sad face. The battle was over. Negotiations were not something he was good at. Staying here was a waste of time. It is better to go back early to enjoy the blessings of Chi people. Lukisa also held his forehead. Little ancestor, this battle was originally for you to accumulate prestige and credit. The most critical time is coming. What is the operation of your going first? Qianyu, what if you leave Cloud Shinobi and suddenly regret it? No one here is Raikage's opponent except you. In the end, Lu Ju still thought of a reason and forced Qianyu to stay. Soon, Raikage brought a group of horses to the agreed negotiating place. It will be returned by Wooden Golem, and Cloud Shinobi will compensate Konoha with 10 million taels. At the negotiating table, Raikage didn't talk too much, and directly showed his chips. Sitting beside him were Azabuye and Darui. Qianyu also deliberately looked around and found the second female ninja Samui in the ninja world, which was a pity. He also wanted to make a comparison with Tsunade. Lord Raikage, isn't this compensation a little too small? I believe that even if a 2-tailed Jinchuriki is sold to other countries, it will not exceed this amount. What's more, do you think Konoha is short of your funds? Shikajiu frowned and retorted, Cloud Shinobi village is too insincere. Humph. Fourth Raikage's big nostrils exhaled 2 rough breaths, then continued to fight. Anyway, we Cloud Shinobi want money, and no money, we will die. You want more CHBI compensation, it's hard for me too. The person who can become the shadow of a village has never been an idiot, and he is keenly aware of Konoha's embarrassment. You can win, but it's definitely not possible to win too much. Other ninja villages do not allow it either. Hard to do. Then don't do it. Qianyu stood up in a hurry. lifted the negotiating table, and scattered the tea and documents on the floor. This move not only shocked everyone in Konoha, but even Fourth Raikage was stunned. He has always smashed the table, but today he was actually turned against the army. He came up in a flash of rage. Fight, fight, brat, this old man has long been upset with you. Lightning flashed from Fourth Raikage's body, and lightning-style chakra mode was already turned on. Thunder and lightning wrapped around his body, not only providing high-speed attributes, but also attaching a layer of chakra armor. Although it is only AB level ninjutsu, the strength of ninjutsu never depends on the level. In fact, it also depends on the user, but also on the user. Cloud Shinobi Village is a village that develops ninjutsu to the ultimate, and Fourth Raikage is the strongest among them. Even if not as good as his father, Third Raikage, it's not far off. But, will Qian Yu be afraid? Without thinking, he slapped his hand on the ground, and was summoned by Wooden Golem. Come on, hit me. Standing behind Wooden Golem, Qian Yu spoke words that sent Fourth Raikage's blood pressure soaring. You have the ability to go one-on-one with me. What a skill to hide behind a woman. Fourth Raikage's hair stood up in anger. He didn't expect Qian Yu to be so shameless to take Wooden Golem as a hostage. Qian Yu was not only not angry, but looked at the expression of a fool instead. Two-tailed Jinchuriki is my current summoning beast. What's wrong with fighting with summoning beast? You. Fourth Raikage was out of breath. Secretary Black Leather knew that it was time for her to go out. Lord Qian Yu, please don't get excited. We, Lord Raikage, can only offer so much compensation because of the financial difficulties of the village. It's not that we don't want to express our apologies. You don't want our villagers to live without food because of excessive compensation, right? Azabui's remarks were very complimenting, and they were sold badly. It's just that Qian Yu didn't like this and sneered. So poor that you can only give 10 million taels. Let me tell you, the Asuma Jonin in our village is worth 30 million, are you begging? Also, you people in Cloud Shinobi Village are poor, and whatever happens to us Konoha is entirely your own fault. Asuma, who was silently eating melons, was so hung up that he didn't catch his breath. The code is sick. Why do you have to use me as a comparison? Kakashi glanced at Asuma sympathetically, with a hint of pity. He also remembered the Hyuga ninja using him as a unit of measurement. This. Ma Bui was tangled. She didn't expect Qian Yu, a hairy boy, not only to be strong, but also not to be fooled. What do you think? 30 million taels, this is the greatest sincerity of our Cloud Shinobi Village. From Wooden Golem, 2. 40 million, you can't do this. By Wooden Golem, 50 million, this is our last price increase. Without a word, Qian Yu opened Susanoo this time, and Mangekyo also appeared in Wooden Golem's pupils. Enough of you. Boy, Raikage roared, 100 million. If there's more, I'll just kill Wooden Golem, let's fight. Qian Yu looked at Lu Ju, and when he saw that the other party nodded indistinctly, he also knew that this was the bottom line of Cloud Shinobi Village. Put away Susanoo. Okay, since you are so poor, just 100 million. He waved his hand, looking like a cheap Cloud Shinobi Village. It looks like it's really reaching the limit. But Cloud Shinobi Village is really poor, even Cardo is richer than them. In fact, what Qian Yu didn't know was that because of this defeat, the pensions and commissions alone could make Cloud Shinobi's finances collapse. Even if it is 100 million, Fourth Raikage is still needed to find the name of the Kingdom of Thunder. The two sides signed a final treaty. Cloud Shinobi was taken prisoner by Wooden Golem and other Cloud Shinobi at the price of 100 million taels of compensation and open surrender. On the day of the exchange of prisoners, by Wooden Golem also returned to normal. She looked at Qian Yu with trembling eyes full of fear. She would rather die than see this man in her life. It's simply the devil. When Qian Yu followed the Konoha army back to the village, he was greeted with cheers from countless people. The villagers desperately needed a big win to cheer them up. Bad boy, well done. Tsunade hugged Qian Yu into his arms and gave a lot of rewards. Stupid, stuffy Tsunade-san. Rome, Qian Yu couldn't even speak clearly. In the distance, Hinata, Ino and Hong Yuhi also looked at Qian Yu proudly. This is their boyfriend, the hero of Konoha. Simply appearing in front of the public, Qian Yu, Lu Ju and others were also called to the Hokage office. This time you have done a very good job. The 100 million taels of cash is enough to hurt Cloud Shinobi for a while. Tsunade said to Shikahisa with a smile. Lu Ju shook his head. This is all due to Qian Yu. If he hadn't controlled our wage in Cherokee to the death, we wouldn't have the initiative. It's not that he compliments Qian Yu, it's the fact that it is. There is one more chapter, now to code. It's not so much a battle as it is Qian Yu's one-man show. Hearing his compliment, Tsunade's smile grew even stronger, and he turned to look at Qian Yu. For Qian Yu, she is now 10,000 satisfied. The only thing that is not good is that she is too young to be able to spread branches and leaves for Senju for the time being. Still, she had a question to ask. You really returned her wage in Cherokee so easily? Tsunade felt that with Qian Yu's innocence, things were definitely not that simple. It's only a second tail, and I'll pay it back, but my summoning technique has not been eliminated. If you need it, you can summoning over at any time. When the time comes, with my Sharingan, it will be Cloud Shinobi Village to help me raise summoning beasts. After Qian Yu finished speaking, Tsunade showed an expression like that. She knew that things were not so simple. The rest are all complicated. Why is this kid so dark? Fourth Raikage spends 100 million to redeem your summoning beast, and you have to eat and drink. 2 Torin, isn't it? This plot, intimacy paradise, dare not write like this. After asking some more details, Tsunade let everyone go back to rest. Before leaving, Qian Yu asked Tsunade for another reward. Recently, I have been doing frequent tasks to go out of the village, and I also feel a little bored. Now that Qian Yu has no shortage of prestige and status, Qian Yu has begun to play havoc in his heart again. He is ready to rest for a while. Tsunade pondered for 2 seconds before agreeing to Qian Yu's request. Although Konoha has a heavy task now, it is not bad for Qian Yu to be alone. Moreover, he also handed over the pets at home. Tsunade had heard Asuma mention it, and even he could only tie the dog. If Yi Shi was here, he would definitely be screaming, his face full of wisdom. How could that guy who looks like a monkey be his adult opponent? After leaving the Hokage building, Qian Yu saw Ino and Hinata who had been waiting outside. As for Hong, adults' communication time is of course in the evening. The two ignored their father directly, and Ryan rushed into Qian Yu's arms as if she had returned home. Click, click. At that moment, the hearts of the two old fathers were broken at the same time. Come on, let's go home. Holding the two jade-like hands, Qian Yu said with a smile. The two women nodded in unison, forgetting to look at their old father from beginning to end. Just go. Hyuga Hiyashi and Yamanaka glanced at each other, both feeling the depression in each other. Have a drink together. With a sigh, Yamanaka Kai made an invitation. How to solve the worries? Only do Kong. Let's go. Hiyashi, who has always been old-fashioned, also showed a lonely look. To be honest, he felt that he was even worse than Yamanaka Kaiichi because his eldest daughter was gone. The little girl looks fast too. Ow, ow. Before opening the door, Qian Yu heard the sound of cheering from inside. He smiled and pushed open the door. A mighty and majestic Erha rushed towards him. It seems that the word mighty and majestic has nothing to do with Erha. However, the current form is often exercised by Guy's side, and it seems to be full of strength. That still happy face revealed his extraordinary. Single quote. Hinata and Ino went into the kitchen to prepare dinner, and Qian Yu also did his duty as a master and went out for a few laps with Yi Shi. Yi Shi, after so many years, you are already a mature dog. Step by step. Ow, master, what does this mean? Your master and I can spend a lot of money now, especially your Hinata mother is a big eater, so you have to be sensible. Ow, I still don't understand one. Qian Yu squatted down, rubbed his head angrily, and looked very serious. *****. From today onwards, you are Konoha's official ninja, joining the 8th class instead of Hinata. So you have to work hard. The quality of your life in the future depends on how much you can earn for yourself. Bewildered. Who are we? In such a big home, can't even a small Erha be accommodated? Not only that, Qian Yu also continued, your master, I have spent a lot of effort in training you. After that, I won't take more money for your tasks, just half. The rest will buy you high-quality dog food, definitely better than Kakashi's Parker. Ow! The surrounding residents were taken aback by the sudden wolf howl, and when they saw it was a pattern, they smiled and didn't care. The way he often trains with Guy in the village can be regarded as a famous dog, and his barking like a wolf is also one of his characteristics. Qian Yu patted the unlovable Urha and returned home happily. At this time, Ino and Hinata also prepared a sumptuous dinner. The three of them already feel at home together, and Ino and Hinata have been like sisters for so many years. There are no rules about eating or sleeping at the dinner table. Ino and Hinata shared interesting stories about their missions, and Qian Yu also picked out some less bloody ones on the battlefield to tell the two girls. His drive to become stronger is to protect the people he loves. There is no need to let them know the cruel side of the world, because any wind and rain will be blocked by him. As the night darkened, Qian Yu sent Hinata and Ino home as usual. But it's a little strange that Yamanaka Kaiichi would stand at the door at this time, watching him send Ino back with a bad look. But today he was not there, only Mrs. Yamanaka greeted Qian Yu with a smile. What Qian Yu didn't know was that in a luxurious izakaya, the two middle-aged old fathers were already hugging each other. Brother Hiyashi, my heart is bitter. Qian Yu kidnapped my little padded jacket when he was 6 years old. I haven't worn a warm jacket yet. Brother Hiyi, no matter how hard you are not as hard as me. You only have one daughter, but I have two. No matter how you count, my pain is far above yours. The two pushed each other away and looked at each other, then hugged and cried again. Woo woo woo, my daughters. Chapter 131. Midnight. Through the flying thunder god technique, Qian Yu quietly came to Yuhika's house. Why are you only here now? Hong Yuhi glanced at Qian Yu angrily, and then took out the shochu that she had prepared earlier. Come on, have a drink with me. Anko has been very busy recently, and no one has a drink with me. Can't wait to fill Qian Yu with a glass, and Hong Yuhi took a sip directly from the bottle. Qian Yu is also a little helpless. Hong is like this, when it comes to drinking, it is like a different person. I told Hinata and Ino about us. PFF'd. With a sip of the red wine, he spit it out, and looked at Qian Yu in disbelief. Are you crazy? She couldn't believe Qian Yu said it so quickly. Didn't it say that will be announced when he is an adult? No wonder Hinata looked at her so strangely these past few days. She no longer called Teacher Hong, but called Sister Hong directly. Emotional problems arise here. Facing Red Yuhi's resentful gaze, Qian Yu shrugged helplessly. I don't think it's fair to you, and we don't need to be secretive. Although he couldn't keep a bowl of water in his heart, he also tried his best to give fairness to everyone. Hong Yuhi was stunned, not expecting Qian Yu to think like this. For a time, his eyes were a little red. No, don't talk about that, come, drink. Pretending to inadvertently wipe away the crystals from the corners of her eyes, Hong began to exchange cups with Qian Yu. It's just that the wine tastes a little off when you drink it. The two people who were originally sitting opposite each other became sitting side by side, getting closer and closer, and became sitting up and down again. Yes, this wine is impossible to drink. I learned part of the transformation technique, Qian Yu said quietly. Akamichi Choji was wounded several times in this battle against Cloud Shinobi, and Qian Yu got his favorite part, expansion jutsu. Really? The red eyes lit up. Doesn't that mean? That's right, Qian Yu said with a smile, I can finally get smaller. Luckily with a blushing face, it was really going to die before. The two looked at each other and tacitly put down the wine glass in their hands. At the same time, in a hidden cave, Obito sat silently on a stone, and black-white Zetsu's body suddenly appeared. What did you find? Ju shook his head. Cameo Qian Yu's information is very clean. I went to check Cameo and Feng's information, but I didn't find any relationship between him and the Uchiha clan. After playing against Qian Yu last time, Obito and Ju have raised his danger level by more than one notch. In order to better target Qian Yu, Ju personally took action and came to Konoha to collect information. But after this collection, he became even more puzzled. The source of Senju's bloodline has been clarified. Cameo Miko is a descendant of Senju, and Qian Yu's awakening of wood style can be regarded as a trace. But this Sharingan, the information about Cameo and the wind is absolutely smashed, and I don't see any relationship between him and Uchiha. One more bad news. Looking at Obito, Ju said slowly again, Kamio Qianyu seems to have awakened the Kagura eyes of the Uzumaki clan, and my white Zetsu can't get close at all. Obito is numb. How did this kid wake up with so many bloodlines? Kamio Qianyu, who is your father? For a time, he felt that Qianyu was like a hedgehog, unable to speak. Obito is very sure that once they start the tail beast capture plan, Qianyu will be a hurdle they can't get around. Let's leave it to Nagato to deal with it. After struggling for a long time, he was the one who came up with such a solution. Nagato, who owns Rinnegan, is the best candidate to restrain Qianyu, and he can also reap the benefits of a fisherman if there is a war between the two. Obito's ambition was never peaceful, nor did he want to resurrect Uchiha Madara. He just wants to take Rinnegan himself and become Ten-Tails Jinchuriki. Finally, use infinite Tsukuyomi with your own hands to create a world with Lin. I have something to say overnight, but I can't write. Qianyu woke up contentedly, but Hong was still immersed in sleep because she was too tired. It was too late for the two to toss, and Hong was not a strong physicist, so it was estimated that he would not be able to get up until noon. Qianyu was not in a hurry, and walked slowly to the yard to start the morning exercise. Although the strength will not increase because of these few times, but every time after a set of punches, there will always be a refreshing feeling. Retracting his fists and standing, Qianyu slowly exhaled a turbid breath, and began to think about something Yuhi told him last night. In addition to the 8th class, Hong has another disciple. Pommel Horse Yakumo. The Kurama family is also one of Konoha's once wealthy families. However, it is difficult to awaken this kind of blood following the limit, and the ninjas of the Kurama clan who have not awakened for a long time appear and gradually decline. Until the appearance of Kurama Yakumo. This kind of blood following limit is very terrifying, and it is called manipulating the 5 senses. You can use illusion to manipulate the 5 senses of others, so that people exist in the illusion space, and those who are in illusion will also suffer real harm. The emergence of such a genius was something to be celebrated. However, Yakumo Kurama has a weak constitution since childhood, and he will not be able to bear it after practicing for a while. They didn't even meet the standards for admission to the ninja school. The former 3rd generation was very fond of Kurama Yakumo's talent, and sent Yuhihiro to become her illusion teacher. And Hong also found out that she did not have the quality to become a ninja after contacting Kurama Yakumo, and persuaded her to give up this path. Coupled with the dissuasion of her parents, Yakumo gave birth to resentment and gave birth to a terrible monster in her heart, and set her parents on fire. Because the facts were too terrifying, Kurama Yakumo sealed his memory, thinking that the village had assassinated her parents. Since then, she has been isolated in Satomi Hill Villa. Hong also thought of Qianyu's medical ability and great strength. Want to see if he has a solution. After learning about the situation, Qianyu became interested in the boundaries of the Pommel Horse family. Ability to manipulate the 5 senses and even affect reality. He intends to study it, if it is really that magical. You can also exchange it from the system to enrich your offensive means. Today's state is not very good, and the quality has declined a bit. Today, I will go to bed earlier and try to adjust it. Good night everyone. As he had expected, Kurenai Yuhi didn't wake up until noon, dragging her tired body. Originally, I wanted to complain for a while, but it was because Qianyu had already prepared lunch. Just let him go. The two did not delay too much, and after lunch, they walked towards the periphery of Konoha. On the way, Yuhi Hong was still instructing Qianyu to be careful with Kurama Yakumo's illusion. Although Red is Yakumo's teacher in name, the boundaries of the Kurama family's blood are too peculiar. Ordinary illusions have no meaning to learn at all. Therefore, Hong also only taught some basic ninja knowledge and illusion concepts. The two were getting farther and farther away from Konoha, and the dark clouds in the sky suddenly became more numerous. Qianyu looked up and found that this phenomenon only appeared on this mountain. Except for this one, the rest of the place was full of clear skies. From Kagura's perspective, the air on this side is filled with chakra. The ultimate application of yin escape. Does illusion change reality? Qianyu was thoughtful, but didn't say it. At the top of the hill, where a chic manor is located, just feels a little lackluster. In order to avoid the accidental injury of Kurama Yakumo, the rest of the Kurama tribe all moved out of here. It is not so much a manor as it is a cage. Under the leadership of Hong, Qianyu finally saw Yakumo Kurama in a dimly lit room. G-style hairstyle, calm and indifferent face, constantly modifying and modifying on the drawing board in front of him with a brush in hand. There are also many completed paintings around, both landscapes and figures. The skin looks pale due to the body. The first feeling of Kurama Yakumo is a bit like a literary girl. She was indifferent to the arrival of Qianyu and the two, and still focused all her attention on the paintings, without saying hello at all. Qianyu. Hong looked at Qianyu. You go out first, and don't come in no matter what you hear. The red face became a little weird. Qianyu noticed this and said angrily, why are you so dirty now, am I that kind of person? Sure enough, when a woman drives a car, there is nothing wrong with a man. Hong smiled awkwardly, because she thought too much. Going out and closing the door, Qianyu and Yakumo were left in the room. Don't you think your paintings are too depressing? Qianyu looked at Yakumo's painting. It was a landscape painting. It was the scenery around Satomi Hill Villa, which was exactly the same as the weather outside at this time. Hearing this, Yakumo finally put down the brush in his hand, his eyes indifferent. Who are you? Konoha Jonin, cameo Qianyu. Qianyu really wasn't trying to show off his status. It's just that Hong said that Kurama Yakumo was very sensitive to ninjas, and he just wanted to tease this 3-0 girl. Sure enough, after hearing that Qianyu is not only a ninja, but also a Jonin, Yakumo's indifferent expression could no longer be maintained. This boy is younger than her, so he is already a Jonin. Under the emotion, the brush left a deep stroke on the drawing board. At the same time, there was a roar from the outside world. Qianyu noticed that the chakra in Yakumo's body was also rapidly decreasing. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes. This is too fun, isn't it, Ma Liang? If he had this skill, would he be able to draw Obito directly to death? Suddenly, Yakumo Kurama became a good leak in his eyes. Don't be so excited, I am the medical ninja invited by Yuhika to treat you. Kurama Yakumo sneered. Here, I'm afraid it's not to kill her. She once overheard part of the conversation between Hong Yuhi and Third Hokage, and mistakenly thought that the village was afraid of her and wanted to kill her. From then on, she even became hostile to Hong. Qianyu naturally knew this, but he also had an old groove to spit. Is the Anbu around 3rd generation a dry eater? Even if Orochimaru's subordinates can't stop it, even a sickly pommel horse, Yakumo, can't be found. Looking at the painting that had been scratched out, Qianyu said softly. The amazing bloodline actually affected reality with illusion. Yakumo Kurama, think about it carefully, what did you draw on the day your parents died? Hong Yuhi told him not to mention Yakumo's parents. It's just that if this matter is not spoken, the contradiction between Kurama Yakumo and the village, as well as her own illness, will not be resolved. Qianyu decided to cut through the mess with a quick knife, and first drew the monster out of Yakumo's body. Dad. Mom, paint. Yakumo's pupils were distracted, and the memory sealed by the subconscious also seemed to have obtained the key and opened it little by little. The fire that devoured her parents was made by her own hands. Do not. Yakumo clutched his head in pain, a strong sense of guilt hit his heart, and the whole person was about to faint. Tears were already pouring out. Dad, Mom, it's me who hurt you. Pulling out kunai, Yakumo wanted to end himself. But in Qianyu's eyes, a monster with green face and fangs and horns on its head emerged from a self-portrait and stopped Ku-Wu. His consciousness has come to a void space, this is Yakumo's inner world. And that monster is Yakumo's negative personality, Ito. Have you finally come out? Qianyu and Idu met eyes and saw endless negative emotions. And Yidu was also annoyed that he bewitched Yakumo, his arms suddenly stretched out and grabbed towards Qianyu. This is Yakumo's inner world, completely unable to use any ninjutsu. But Qianyu's powerful spiritual power is the nemesis of all shadows. Sharingan stared, and the originally arrogant monster Idu was caught in the immobilization technique, showing a terrified face. What did you do? Qianyu didn't answer, but thought about a solution. He could have dealt with Idu directly, but over the years, Idu has devoured a lot of chakra. If Ito is killed, more than half of Yakumo's bloodline will be abolished. It's really a waste. It's better to seal her up, wait for Yakumo to become stronger, and directly swallow her negative emotions to make her strength further. Thinking of this, Qianyu also has a method. Under his control, Idu's body gradually collapsed, turning into a thick black mass. Then it poured into the unconscious Yakumo, forming a small black dot on her forehead. Half an hour later, Qianyu walked out of the closed room with the still unconscious Kurama Yakumo. "Qianyu, are you all right?" Hong's expression was a little anxious. She only heard a scream from Yakumo, and there was no movement from behind. "It's okay, the monster in her body has been sealed by me, and the physical defects are easy to deal with. After a period of treatment, you can try to exercise. Apart from the troublesome sealing of IDU, the problem of Kurama Yakumo is still very easy to solve." As for this seal, Qianyu referred to the seal method of the tailed beast, leaving a slight gap. In this way, Yakumo can be regarded as an alternative Jinchuriki in the future, but this monster is cultivated by herself. Hong also breathed a sigh of relief, and brought Yakumo and Qianyu to a new guest room. "Let's go, her mental awareness is still relatively weak now, and she won't be able to wake up today." Hong thought about it for a while, but chose to stay to take care of Yakumo and let Qianyu go back first. Qianyu didn't object either. The next day, Hong Kai brought Yakumo to Qianyu's house. Ino and Hinata are also there, and they are also curious when they see the girl next to Hong. "Lord Qianyu, thank you for your help." At this time, Yakumo seemed to have regained his composure. He was no longer looking for life and death, and the trace of resentment between his eyebrows disappeared. "You don't need to thank me. If you want to thank Hong. I wouldn't know about you without her." Qianyu waved his hand indifferently. At this time, Hong said, "Qianyu, in order to facilitate the treatment, Yakumo will stay here with you, and I have to make a trip every time. And the environment there is not conducive to her condition. Originally, I wanted Yakumo to live in my house, but..." She didn't say anything after that. It would be embarrassing if Qianyu ran over and heard something from Yakumo this night. Hinata and Ino were stunned. What exactly is going on? In order to prevent them from misunderstanding, Hong also briefly told Yakumo's story, but concealed the part about her parents. Both women are extremely kind people, and they immediately felt sympathy for Yakumo, their older sister. "Do you have to live in my house? Can't you live there?" Qianyu frowned a little. He didn't want to raise another one. With Hinata and Ino taking care of him, Qianyu has not cared about his diet for a long time. It must be very troublesome to have an extra young lady suddenly. "Mr. Qianyu, I lived alone when I was very young, and I am good at washing and cooking, so I won't bother you," Yakumo said very carefully. Her only hope now is Qianyu. If she wants to become a ninja and repay teacher Hong's kindness, only Qianyu can help her realize this wish. Sure enough, Qianyu's eyes lit up. Does this seem good? Hinata and Ino were also there to help talk. In the end, Kurama Yakumo proudly became the babysitter of the Cameo family, as well as his painting teacher. "Sir, why do you want to learn to draw?" Hearing this request, Yakumo was still a little puzzled. Qianyu shrugged. "I think your paintings are very beautiful, and I want to learn to draw a portrait for Hinata and the others." The four women in the yard smiled at the same time. 8 yuan is because Qianyu praised his painting skills, while the other 3 women are for Qianyu's intentions. Time flies, time flies. After the battle with Cloud Shinobi Village, Qianyu never left the village to perform missions. Removing his positions as Konoha's medical minister and hospital director requires him to walk around the medical department from time to time to show his presence. The rest of the time is entirely at his own disposal. Accompanying a few girls to practice, from time to time, I secretly take Tsunade to the short book street to lose a few million taels. Or have a tryst when Fenghua Xiaoshui is filming in the Land of Fire. Leisurely mess. Makes Shikamaru, who has become Chunin, jealous. When the Shaoqiangs who were still in the village were gathering, Shikamaru vomited bitterness, and after becoming a Chunin, he had to practice and perform more difficult tasks. If I had known, he would be a genin for life. After listening to this, the rest of the people cut a sound in unison and looked at Shikamaru with contempt. Apart from him, Ino and Hinata, everyone else is still genin. A sunny afternoon, the third training ground. Bang, Bang, bang. On the field, Hinata and Hanabi were engaged in a fierce confrontation, and the muffled sound of fists colliding was incessant. It's just that they are not using the gentle fist of Hyuga's family, but Qian-Yu's fluid technique. The previous vision has been realized, and the power of Bian combined with Qian-Yu's Teishu is definitely not weaker than that of 8 trigram's palms. Even stronger on offense with 3 points. Under the shade of a tree, Qian-Yu sat behind the drawing board, wearing a pair of gold wire glasses, and his brushes were like walking dragons and snakes, and he was extremely devoted. Kurama Yakumo was standing beside him in a maid outfit, with a helpless expression on his face. Mr. Qian-Yu, ask me to tell you that you should give up this hobby. It's been more than a year, and even her body is getting better. Why is Master Qian-Yu's painting skills so terrible? Yakumo, one of the most rare qualities of a person is persistence. Just like you, isn't Ishin also trying to become a ninja? Qian-Yu looked at his masterpiece, and a flame emerged from his fingertips, which burned directly to ashes. Hey, I didn't expect that I would be stopped by the step of painting when I mastered the bloodline limit of the pommel horse family. Yakumo also covered his mouth and snickered, and the whole person seemed much more lively. More than a year has passed. How is Lee? And she has become a ninja as she wishes. However, because of the special status, Tsunade did not arrange for Yakumo to guide Jonin, but let her directly become Qian-Yu's subordinate. Yakumo is very happy about this. She was also used to the feeling of being by Qian-Yu's side. If she was teaming up with others, she was really not used to it. However, is the almost omnipotent Mr. Qian-Yu so lacking in talent for painting? On the field, Hinata and Hanabi have stopped discussing, and Hinata is explaining some of Hanabi's shortcomings. The little loli, who has grown up a lot, listened seriously. Qian-Yu has a distant vision. It has been 2 years since Naruto left the village, if not for the souvenirs that he sends back from time to time. Qian-Yu almost thought he was missing. It's really relaxing. A lazy voice sounded with envy. It is Kakashi. What are you doing here? Qian-Yu didn't look back, but continued to take out a piece of drawing paper. Come, Yakumo, I'll paint you a portrait. Sir, why don't we just forget it? Yakumo smiled reluctantly. Qian-Yu's craftsmanship will make her wonder if she looks so ugly in his eyes. People don't want it. Not only Yakumo, but also Hinata and the others were silent after seeing Qian-Yu's portrait for them. Never mention the matter of painting again. All right. Qian-Yu had a look of regret, and Kakashi had walked in front of him with a sullen look on his face. Come on, Tsunade-sama is looking for you. Thinking of him as a dignified elite jonin, he has actually become a messenger. Qian-Yu stretched and stood up. Tsunade finds him, or asks Kakashi to come over, then it's not a matter of going out to gamble. Yakumo, you will go back with Hinata and the others in a while. I want to eat beef tonight. After giving an order, Qian-Yu put his hand on Kakashi's shoulder, and Flying Thunder God activated. The two suddenly appeared in Tsunade's office. Qian-Yu. It wasn't the expected roar of Tsunade, but a cry of surprise. Tamari. When did it come? Only then did Qian-Yu see that not only Tsunade and Shizune, Tamari, Baki and Kankuro were also in the office. Resisting the urge to run to his side, Tamari explained, we are here to discuss the Chunin exam on behalf of Sand Shinobi Village. Chunin exam. Is Konoha going to hold the Chunin exam? Qian-Yu looked at Tsunade, and she nodded. The purpose of calling you this time is this, Konoha is going to hold a Chunin exam jointly with Sand Shinobi. After all, Neji and the others have been genin for a long time, and they need a stage to show themselves. Glancing at the people in Sand Shinobi Village, in addition, Gaara has just become Kazekage, and her status is still a little unstable, so she really needs this time. So this is all. Suddenly, Qian-Yu sat beside Tamari, and the two were close to each other. Tamari's face was flushed, and it was hard to imagine that she could show such an expression when she was so carefree. Baki said sincerely, I hope Lord Qian-Yu can help Gaara. With your prestige to suppress, those opponents will definitely be afraid. If the most famous ninja in Konoha, apart from Jiraiya and Tsunade, is Qian-Yu. Even for many villages, Qian-Yu's deterrent effect was greater. Jiraiya wanders around in the ninja world, Tsunade sits in the village, only Qian-Yu can move freely. That is, he has been lazy in recent years and has not done tasks. Otherwise, the ninja world is estimated to have another rule that you can give up the mission when you meet cameo Qian-Yu. Qian-Yu. Temari carefully pulled the corner of his clothes, and 2 years later, the heroic girl has grown a lot. After some gestures were made, even Qian-Yu was a little moved. After all, it was the beauty trick of Sand Shinobi Village. Okay, what do you need me to do? With a sigh, Qian-Yu took up the job. What do you need me to do? Tsunade smiled slightly, happy to see his relationship with Temari. Become the chief examiner of this Chunin exam, and be responsible for all affairs of Konoha. With Tsunade's explanation, Qian-Yu also understood the process of the exam. This time is different from the last time. The first part is held in Konoha, and the second part is held in Sand Shinobi's Demon Desert. And all he needs to do is to preside over the first part of the exam, and then follow the candidates to Sand Shinobi Village to protect the students in the village. Stop by for Gaara. No problem, I'll take this job. Am I to designate the questions for the first exam? With this smile on Qian-Yu's face, being an examiner is much more interesting than being a candidate. Temari is also very excited, and with Qian-Yu there, Gaara's position is also stable this time. Without too much ink, Qian-Yu directly brought Sene Ibushi and his group of torture troops. Abizi has served as an examiner for the Chunin exam many times, so it can save a lot of trouble for him to start. He did not intend to engage in the previous set of quality torture. In Qian-Yu's view, strength is still the most important thing. Even people with flaws in their hearts can play a greater role than those who are weak but firm. Please, Naruto, they are pig's feet. Apart from the protagonist, have you ever seen anyone who can explode and kill? Even if there are too few such people. Rain Shinobi Village. This is a village that is covered with rain all year round, and it rains at least 300 days a year. In order to cope with this bad weather, Rain Shinobi Village has a large number of tower buildings and is equipped with a developed drainage pipe system. These buildings are all made of iron. If they are like ordinary wooden houses, they will be moldy and rotten after a year. In the tallest tower, countless pieces of paper gathered together to form a beautiful woman with blue hair. It was Conan. Pain. Konoha sent us an invitation to take the Chunin exam they and Sand Shinobi held. Saying that, she used 1,000 paper cranes to send the scroll to Pain's hand. After reading it, Pain did not give an immediate answer, but instead asked, "What do you think, do you want to go?" Conan shook his head. "Let's go." I feel that Konoha already has suspicions. This time it was Kakashi who came to deliver the scroll, obviously wanting to investigate some information. In the eyes of the outside world, the leader of Rain Shinobi Village is Hanzo, a well-known demigod in the ninja world. However, many years ago, Hanzo should have been killed by Nagato. Pain was silent for a moment, then said coldly, "Then go, Akatsuki's secrets cannot be exposed, try to behave normally." "How's the situation at Three Tails?" Conan replied. 2 days ago, news came from Uchiha Itachi that there was a chakra riot in a lake in the Land of Water, and it is estimated that Three Tails will be resurrected in less than a year. Pain nodded. Just take this opportunity to investigate other Jinchuriki news. The person sent must be someone from Rain Shinobi Village, and cannot have any connection with Akatsuki. He claims to be a god, but he is not without brains. Ants can still kill an elephant, not to mention the 5 great ninja villages. Once the situation of Akatsuki's organization is exposed, it will definitely suffer from the hostility of everyone. He must create the ultimate weapon with his 9-tailed beasts in a relatively short period of time. Conan understands that she happens to have a few of her subordinates who have just become genins of Rain Shinobi Village and can come in handy. Konoha's efficiency is very fast, and it took only half a month to prepare for the exam. And ninjas from various villages also arrived one after another. This time, Konoha invited more ninjas, and Sunagakur was also half the master. There were a total of 210 candidates. Thanks to Shikamaru, Ino and Hinata have been successfully promoted to Chunin. Choji can only team up with Shino and Ya. On the day of the exam, when all the candidates come to the ninja school, prepare for a big fight. I saw Qian-Yu standing at the front of all the examiners. Many people have some doubts. This boy, who doesn't seem to be as big as most of them, is also the examiner this time. Who is this? Is Konoha no one, and chose a hairy boy to be the examiner? A ninja from the land of mountains was a little disdainful. His companion thought for a while, and seemed to have thought of something. Konoha, juvenile, Jonin. Shit, he quickly covered the man's mouth. Shut up, this is Mr. Kamio Chian-yu from Konoha. The man whose mouth was covered widened his eyes in horror. Of course he had heard of Chian-yu's name, but he had never seen a real person. Chian-yu glanced at the team of mountain country lightly. Shanyan Village's disqualification will be eliminated directly. Do you have any opinions? No comments, we'll go right away. The three of them were amnesty, never mentioned the matter of taking the exam, and left in despair. After such an act of killing chickens and warning monkeys, everyone became honest. Neji, Chian-yu is so cool now. Tien's eyes lit up, and he poked Neji beside him. This is the attitude that Mr. Chian-yu should have. Neji said lightly. Since Hinata got engaged to Chian-yu, his name for Chian-yu has also changed to Lord Chian-yu. Even after the correction was fruitless, Chian-yu gave up the struggle. It always feels like Neji is becoming more and more old-fashioned like Hiyashi. Glancing at the many candidates, he accidentally discovered a familiar face. Take a look at the forehead protector. It's you, Lolita said. Chian-yu raised his eyebrows. This lowly said, no, the animal's previous life left a deep impression on him. That summoning technique accent is really good. After restraining his divergent thinking, Chian-yu also revealed today's exam rules. There are 70 scrolls hidden in the whole village of Konoha, and now each team will get an initial clue and team number. The first 30 groups to get the scroll passed, and the rest were eliminated. There are no rules. You can use all means, but you can't destroy the scrolls of other teams. Don't destroy Konoha's property, and don't kill people. After speaking, Chian-yu waved his hand. Start now, with a time limit of 6 hours. The subordinate examiners called and handed over the numbers and information in their hands to each team in order. What Chian-yu examines is also evident: intelligence gathering capabilities and means of interfering with enemy missions. He didn't want to prepare for any written test, and actual combat was the best touchstone. After getting the clues, many teams did not rush to find them, but gathered together to discuss countermeasures. Not only do they need to get their own scrolls, but they also need to prevent others from turning in scrolls before them. The required judgment and decision-making skills are also part of the assessment. Soon, groups started following the instructions one after another. The entire Konoha has also received orders today. Anbu guards important places, and will not reveal any secrets. Many examiners also scattered around to check whether any candidates violated the rules. Are you ready, Yakumo? Chian-yu looked at Yakumo, and in front of her was a huge canvas with an unobstructed view of Konoha. Ready to start now, Yakumo smiled sweetly, with eagerness to try in his eyes. Let's start. How can the exam I'm in charge of be so peaceful? Chian-yu spoke. Yakumo began to paint on the drawing board, and the sky of Konoha instantly became violent, with lightning and thunder. Those candidates who were looking for scrolls suffered. The bad weather and the interference of others made it impossible for them to move. After doing all this, the chakra in Yakumo's body was consumed so much that he fell into Chian-yu's arms when he felt dizzy. Seeing Chian-yu, who was unresponsive, a flash of joy flashed in his eyes. Finally, 2 hours later, the first group to get the scrolls returned. It was Neji's group. This is not beyond Chian-yu's expectations. After all, with Neji's white eyes and familiarity with Konoha, it is strange for them to come late. Lord Chian-yu, here is the scroll for you. Neji handed out the scroll, and Chian-yu nodded. Go down and rest, the next link will not be easy. After a hint, Chian-yu said nothing, while the three of Neji looked at each other and silently found an open space and closed their eyes to rest. Over time, groups returned one after another. At the 5th hour, the Sand Shinobi Ninja from the 30th group returned with their own group's scrolls wounded. Although this test cannot destroy the scroll, it does not mean that the battle cannot take place with the scroll. Judging from their appearance, it is estimated that a bloody road was killed. It's finally over. Chian-yu stretched and stood up from his seat while rubbing his sleepy eyes. Others are automatically disqualified. You are now going to the Devil's Desert in the Land of Wind. The last 30 will be eliminated, and the others will enter the finals. After speaking, he took Yakumo and left, leaving behind the morning candidates. This is too cruel. We just passed the first game. Yeah, don't you allow a break for an hour. Especially Sand Shinobi, the team that came back at the end, has a green face. Each of them had injuries on their bodies, and they had to hurry again without even a chance to catch their breath. Qian Yu doesn't care about this. This is not his decision, but Gaara's request. The purpose is to test the perseverance of these candidates. In desperation, the 30 groups of candidates who passed the first level started a new round of pulling. The distance from Konoha to the Devil's Desert is not short, and it would take 2 days to travel with all one's strength. As an examiner, Qian Yu naturally didn't need to worry so much. A week later, he followed Temari to the base of the Demon Desert. After hearing the news that Qian Yu was coming, Sunagaku did not dare to neglect, and a group of people were waiting at the entrance. And Gaara, who has become funnying, is also impressively in Lear. Gaara, long time no see. Today's Gaara looks a lot more mature than 2 years ago, and with the cloak of the upper wind, it already has the demeanor of the future captain of the ninja coalition. Long time no see, Qian Yu. Gaara also showed a smile, and Qian Yu was one of his few friends. It was because of Qian Yu that he realized how much Temari and Konkuro cared about him. Not even knowing each other. The two shook hands, and Qian Yu clearly saw a few people's faces change slightly. But he didn't care. The purpose of this time is to give Gaara a stand, the more obvious the better. Today's Konoha is getting stronger and stronger, and Sunagaku is in a weak position, so he will naturally have some scruples about his attitude. Tsunade's idea was that Gaara would be better than having those who coveted Konoha be cage. The May 4-7 people came to a high platform, which was facing the Devil's Desert. The rules of the second round are also very simple, just like in the Dead Forest to snatch the earth coiling axis. The Demon Desert is an area that is no less dangerous than the Death Forest. The quicksand here is very strange, and if you are not careful, you will sink deep into it. There are still many strange monsters hidden in the desert, and most people will choose to go to a farther gobi to bypass this area, so as to reach the country of wind. So the second round of exams is held here, and the risk factor is even higher than in the Dead Forest. Because of the speed of the journey, the disease is not very fast. When Qian Yu, Temari and others arrived, the match had been going on for nearly a day. The position where they are now is the finish line. After the players who have cleared the level come here, they need to fight around to promote Chunin according to their performance. No candidates have appeared so far, and Qian Yu chatted with Gaara to pass the time. During the conversation, I learned that Gaara has actually been cage for some time. It was only because of some problems within the village that it was not announced to the outside world. He also took advantage of this opportunity to convey the fact that he became cage to the outside world. Don't worry, Tsunade-sama thinks that you will definitely become a good cage, and I believe in you too. Qian Yu said these remarks on behalf of Tsunade, which made many people change their color. Some people who oppose Gaara's becoming cage are already trying to consider whether to accept him. Others who were careful also cancelled some plans because of Qian Yu's appearance. In the end, only 5 groups of players passed the test. They are Konoha's Neji team and Shino team, the puppet team of Cheyenne Village, the Fu team of Takian Village, and finally the Hydrangea squad from Rain Shinobi Village. The final battle will be held in Cheyenne Village 7 days later. Entering the Land of Wind this time, Qian Yu realized how unique the environment of the Land of Fire is. The Kingdom of the Wind lives up to its name. There are a lot of strong winds blowing through every day. Plus the desertification of the land here. Encountering a sandstorm is simply not uncommon. In such a harsh environment, they have a lot of materials to buy from outside. However, the architecture of Cheyenne Village is unique. Compared with Konoha, it is 2 completely different styles. It was also the first time that Qian Yu came to a hidden village in another country and had a good time with Temari. 7 days later, Qian Yu also really saw the growth of the Xiaoqiangs. Except for the lucky by every day, everyone played very well in the face of their opponents. Especially Xiao Li. Without experiencing the original serious injury, his strength has been steadily improving. Now fully qualified to be a special Jonin. If you open the last few gates of 8 inner gates, ordinary Jonin will not be Xiao Li's opponent. As for Neji, not to mention, with the careful teaching of Hyuga Hiyashi, the normalized strength has the level of Jonin. The progress of Choji-ya and others is also very obvious, and they are more and more proficient in the control of family secret arts. In the end, Gaara waved his hand, and all those who participated in this final, including Tian, became Chunin. This made Qian Yu feel a moment of silence for Naruto. If he were there, he would definitely be Chunin. Before leaving, Qian Yu glanced at Hydrangea with pity. He remembered that Hydrangea's first mission after becoming Chunin was an S-level mission. And Hydrangea was also killed in this mission, and was later made into a beast by pain. I really don't know what Conan was thinking, letting 3 little brats who just became Chunin go on an S-class mission. It's a pity that there are too many heroines in this book. The next book will definitely give you a heroine. Under the inexplicable eyes of Lolita, Qian Yu returned to Konoha with 6 new Chunins. I am very happy to hear that everyone has become Ino and Hinata of Chunin. The Xiaoqiangs who stayed in the village held another party. Even little Sakura, who works at the hospital, was called over. The current little Sakura is a little mediocre without the aura of Tsunade's disciples. However, the excellent control of chakra still allows her talents in medical ninjutsu to be tapped. He was also promoted to Chunin not long ago. In fact, the way to become a Chunin is not the only way to take the exam. On the contrary, those who can pass the Chunin exam and become Chunin are the elites of the major villages. Most people are promoted through the accumulation of merit and the recognition of the village. Half-year later, Qian Yu lay in the courtyard, enjoying Yakumo's massage leisurely. The little maid's technique became more and more skilled, and the warm sunlight made him a little drowsy. Hinata and Ino were not far away discussing the medical ninjutsu taught by Tsunade today. Everything is so harmonious. Not long ago, Qian Yu and Ino Hinata turned in succession. Witnessed by the Yamanaka clan and the Hyuga clan, the 3 also completed their engagement. The news also caused quite a stir. After all, Qian Yu's personal strength, the background of the Senju family, plus the Hyuga family and the Ino-Shikacho family as backup. No one can imagine who else can compete with him for the position of the next Hokage. Strength. Eternal Mangekyo's pupil power has grown to the limit, and the chakra fusion of the 9-tailed beasts in his body is also drawing to a close. Qian Yu's Zazula is definitely the best in the ninja world. And under the influence of the power of the tail beast, he can now use a variety of blood successor limits smoothly. For example, magnet style of 1 tail, lava style of 4 tails, boiling shield of 5 tails. Qian Yu has also studied the unique art of Taiyan village, but due to the short time, there is no master yet. After all, this is the elimination of blood after the blood is higher than the limit of blood, and it is excusable that it is more difficult. The sky is sunny and the wind is blowing. A teenager in an orange coat stood on a telephone pole, observing the changes in Konoha. It was Naruto who returned after 2.5 years of training. 2.5 years have passed, and today's Konoha has already returned to its former prosperity, even better than before. But the overall layout hasn't changed much, except for the addition of Tsunade's avatar on the Hokage Yanyan. Naruto, don't look any further, let's meet Hokage-sama first. Jiraiya on the ground also showed a smile. When traveling in the ninja world, he was also paying attention to the news of Konoha. The battle with Cloud Shinobi Village, the cure of Danzo's cancer, and the Chunin exam held by Sunagaku. All kinds of things are showing that Tsunade is a Hokage competent. Now Jiraiya feels that she was very wise and chose to bring Tsunade back to be Hokage. At the same time, he also sighed, Qian Yu, this kid is really amazing. Come in. Shizun's voice came from the door, and it was Jiraiya and Naruto who pushed in. The scene inside surprised them both. The original Hokage office had only 2 desks, one for Hokage and one for his assistant. And now the huge office is crowded to the brim. Nara Shikahisa, Hyuga Hiyashi, and 2 Jonin, plus Shizun. A full 5 people are correcting documents, and their faces are full of bitterness and hatred. Tsunade, on the other hand, was holding a bottle of wine and drank one after another in the main seat. Jiraiya, Naruto, long time no see. Tsunade was not surprised to see the two of them, and someone reported it to her long after they entered the village. Tsunade, what's going on? Jiraiya looked at the scene in front of her with some confusion. Ha ha ha, Tsunade smiled heartily, this is the idea that Qian Yu gave me. It turned out that during a chat between the two, Tsunade routinely spit out bitterness to Qian Yu. After becoming Hokage, the whole person has no freedom, and even a little bit of laziness has to face Shizun's indignant eyes. After a long time, there will be a sense of guilt in my heart. Seeing that Tsunade was in such pain, Qian Yu couldn't bear it, so he came up with an idea. The most common documents are handed over to some experienced Jonin for correction. I'll leave the more important things to Shizun. After all, she has been with Tsunade for so long, and she has learned a lot. But the more important and more difficult task was handed over to Lu Ju, the Konoha military division. As for herself, just be a ruthless stamping machine. After hearing this method, Tsunade's eyes lit up. The next day, according to Qian Yu's method, several people were called over to distribute tasks. Since then she has been liberated, if not for the need to stamp and make some bigger decisions. It is estimated that the current Tsunade has long been full of leaves to find the casino. After listening to Jiraiya, it is also incredible. I didn't expect Qian Yu's brain to work so well. It's a pity not to be Hokage. Tsunade was elated, hearing Jiraiya compliment Qian Yu, happier than hearing him compliment himself. I wanted the stinky boy to be Hokage for a long time, but unfortunately he said he wanted to play for a few years, there was no way, I had to stand it. Tsunade's face of Versailles. Naruto's heart was filled with shock. He was still working hard towards Hokage's goal, but Qian Yu was almost at the end. After a brief loss, Naruto was also sincerely happy for Qian Yu. Mother Tsunade, give me some super powerful tasks, and I can't be left too far by Qian Yu. He can't wait to start proving himself through missions. Don't worry, after all you've been gone for so long, I don't know your strength. So I have arranged an examiner for you, and I will assign you tasks based on your performance. The examiner. Naruto was lost. The third training ground. After revisiting the old place and coming to the place where the 7th class used to gather, Naruto was also a little disappointed. Sasuke was still with Orochimaru, little Sakura became a medical ninja, and Qian Yu became a strong man who could stand on his own. Things are not people. Naruto, don't think I'll be merciful if I take your present. Kakashi has revealed Sharingan with a bell hanging from his waist. As long as Naruto can grab his bell, he's eligible. No problem, Kakashi-sensei, let's go. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizun were watching the battle between the two, and they were still curious about Naruto's growth. A breeze blew, and the leaves fell, and Qian Yu also appeared beside Tsunade silently. Why don't you call me something so fun? Surprised, Jiraiya had no idea when he arrived. It's Qian Yu, thank you for the means of staying in Naruto's body. It's really helpful. When he said this, he still had lingering fears. During the trip, Naruto accidentally ran wild again, exposing 4 tails and entering the half-tailed beast. If it wasn't for the pupil power left by Qian Yu beforehand, it would have taken a lot of effort for Jiraiya to subdue Naruto in this state. Qian Yu himself didn't really care about this. Small things need not be mentioned, let me see Naruto's progress over the years. After speaking, several people turned their attention back to the field. As usual, Naruto's fighting style is still dominated by Shadow Clone, trying to create opportunities to hit Rasengan's winning shot. However, unlike before, his physical skills and physique have improved a lot, and even Kakashi has to be careful with his strength. But the title of 55% is not covered. No matter how hard Naruto tries, he can only maintain the balance of power. Qian Yu is not surprised by this. Naruto's real takeoff stage is after exposure to celestial arts. Now he is far inferior to Sasuke's. See, though, Naruto's big ball Rasengan pounding Kakashi one by one. Qian Yu also knew that new ninjutsu should also be on the agenda. Even if he robbed him of the naming rights of the spiral shuriken in advance, Qian Yu would not hide it. I'm going back first, Temari is still waiting for me at my house. Qian Yu said to Jiraiya and Tsunade, not ready to watch the protracted battle between the two. Jiraiya-sama, let Naruto come to me after tomorrow. I have a new ninjutsu that is very suitable for him to learn. The outcome of Naruto and Kakashi's battle is unknown to Qian Yu. At this point he is enjoying her last dinner in Konoha with Temari. Temari is here to deliver Sand Shinobi and Konoha's latest covenant for Gaara. After the 3-year period has passed, Sunagaku's compensation has basically been settled, and the terms between the two villages also need to be changed. She volunteered to take up the task. As for the purpose, sending letters is by the way, and finding a lover is the key. And Qian Yu also announced the news of Naruto's return. That's great, I'll tell Gaara when I go back, he's always talking about Naruto. Temari's cheeks were dizzy, and his younger brother Gaara, who didn't know what was going on, paid extra attention to Naruto. Seeing her slightly drunk and charming appearance, Qian Yu moved her index finger, and her face turned pale. Temari, I need your help with one thing. What? Temari looked curious. Qian Yu said mysteriously, I have a ninjutsu called Rasengan, which actually has many advanced applications. However, to become a big ball Rasengan requires. His voice was getting quieter and Temari's face was getting redder. Soon after, hearing a voice from inside, Yakumo, the saddled horse next door, spat softly. After omitting 10,000 words, the night finally passed. After a night of hard practice, Qian Yu's Rasengan progress has increased slightly. It's just that cultivation is something that requires perseverance, and more practice will be needed in the future. Angrily pinching Qian Yu, Temari set out on the way back to Sunagaku. Not long after walking out of the Konoha gate, there was a sudden feeling of heart palpitations. As if something bad happened. Shaking her head, she just regarded it as a sequelae of over-practice last night. After sending Temari away, Qian Yu walked around and came to the third training ground. Looking at the bumpy ground, one can imagine how intense the battle between Kakashi and Naruto was yesterday. Gently pinching and printing, the soil on the ground rolled for a while, and it returned to level. Today's Qian Yu is quite a kind of ninjutsu at will, or is no longer restricted to ninjutsu. Just now, he used chakra to communicate with the earth element on the earth, and he played with it at will. It was not a complete ninjutsu at all. Qian Yu. Naruto's voice came from behind, and he came to his side happily. It was only then that Naruto noticed that he and Qian Yu seemed to be a little different in height. I haven't seen each other for 3 years, Qian Yu is getting more and more handsome. Naruto looked at him enviously. Today's Qian Yu has completely grown, with 3-dimensional and delicate facial features, fair skin that other people like Hinata would envy, and a refreshing short hair. Every time they go out on the street, Hinata and the others have to be vigilant around them. I'm afraid there will be the kind of girl who jumps up directly. Naruto, I have a girlfriend. Qian Yu was a little hairy at the stare, and took 2 steps back calmly. Ah, I know, what does Hinata and Ino have to do with me? Naruto is stupid. Didn't you come to teach me ninjutsu today? Seeing Naruto still straight, Qian Yu was relieved. Just as he was about to say something, he saw a rapidly rising and falling figure approaching in the distance. Sir Qian Yu, Uzumaki Naruto, and Lord Hokage sent an urgent order. Cloud Shinobi village was attacked, and Kase was captured. Please go to the Hokage building immediately. Anbu said repeatedly, daring not to delay in the slightest. The next second Qian Yu pulled Naruto to launch Flying Thunder God and came to the office. Tsunade saw them and motioned to wait a moment. After a while, Kakashi also appeared. Anbu also told you about things, Tsunade said solemnly. Konoha and Sunagaku are allies, Gaara was attacked, and we should help. Not to mention, her expression became solemn, this time the enemy is Akatsuki. Yesterday, Jiraiya came back and told her a lot about Shao, and she was also very afraid of such an organization. Without the presence of Qian Yu, it is unknown whether the entire Konoha can block Akatsuki's attack. Even if you win, it must be a disastrous victory. This time is also a good opportunity to get a better understanding of the organization's bottom line, and if it goes well, it can even kill the opponent's members. Qian Yu, Kakashi, Naruto, now the 3 of you form an emergency team and go to Sunagaku immediately. Yes, the 3 answered in unison, their expressions solemn. Naruto's eyes were even more anxious. Qian Yu, Naruto, please. Jiraiya said a word out of nowhere, but both Tsunade and Qianyu knew what he meant. Qianyu, who has Sharingan and Wood style, is the perfect candidate to suppress the tailed beast. As the number of rampages increases, the seal in Naruto's body also loosens. There must be someone who can control him. I understand, leave it to me. Qianyu nodded and made a promise. After simply packing up, the three of them converged at the door after 10 minutes. Naruto didn't say a word along the way, and Qianyu understood his feelings. If there is anyone in this world who is closest to Naruto's pain, it is Gaara, who is also Jinchuriki. He opened Kagura's eyes along the way, searching for Temari's trail. The big thing that my brother was arrested must be told to her as soon as possible. Finally, after walking for a long time, Qianyu found chakra belonging to Temari. And she also felt the undisguised breath of the three. When he saw that it was Qianyu, he breathed a sigh of relief. How did you come? Sunagakure was attacked. Gaara was captured by Akatsuki in order to protect Limazao, the village. Tsunade-sama ordered us to go to Sunagakure to support. After Qianyu finished speaking, Temari's body shook. It turned out that her morning hunch was true. Don't worry, with me, Gaara will definitely be rescued. Holding Temari's shoulders, Qianyu said seriously, which made her feel a lot more at ease. The three-person team turned into a four-person team and continued on their way. Finally, I camped in a forest to rest in the middle of the night. Qianyu could withstand it, but the other three were already exhausted. He built a house in wood style and closed the gate to prevent wild beasts from attacking. Seeing this, the three of them breathed a sigh of relief, and soon fell asleep. Seeing Temari's only frown, Qianyu also sighed and held her little hand. After feeling the familiar warmth, the sadness between the eyebrows also dissipated a lot. After 2 days and 1 night of high-intensity travel, the four finally saw the entrance of Sunagakure in the evening of the second day. The guard at the door saw Temari and hurriedly ushered them in. When she heard that Kankuro was chasing alone but was poisoned, her face turned even paler. Take us to the infirmary. Qianyu stood up and let someone take them directly to the medical room. Konoha's white fang. I'm going to kill you. As soon as he entered the room where Kankuro was, an old lady rushed up like crazy when she saw Kakashi. There were words that didn't make sense. Elder Chiyo, I have mistaken someone, this is Kakashi, the first technician of Konoha. Qianyu grabbed Chiyo and told her not to cause trouble. The last time I came to the Land of Wind, Qianyu met this old lady who often pretended to be dead to frighten her younger brother. Now I don't have so much time to play around with her. After being poisoned by Sasori of Akasha, Kankuro's face turned ashen. If it weren't for this weak breathing, it could be judged dead. Qianyu directly performed the healing technique, and the powerful vitality poured in, killing the toxins in his body one by one. To a certain extent, Qianyu was the biggest nemesis of the puppet masters, and their poison had no effect at all. Seeing that his younger brother's breathing gradually stabilized, his face returned to normal. Temari was also relieved, and finally rescued one. It didn't take long for Kankuro to wake up and talk about the situation, and finally cut off Sasori's robes and hand them over to Kakashi. The ninja dog from Kakashi's summoning followed the scent, and Qianyu's heart moved when he saw it. I don't know if the one in his family has this function. After confirming that there are 2 enemies in total, everyone will discuss the team allocation for tomorrow. I'll deal with one by myself, and leave the rest to Kakashi-sensei and Naruto. Qianyu's decision made Baki look embarrassed. Their Sunagakure's cage actually let Konoha's team come to the rescue, which is really shameful. But there is no way, except for Chiyo, the veteran who is about to enter the earth, there is really no other strong person in their village. I'll go with you. Temari stood up, his face determined. No, you have to go to the border of the Land of Winds to prevent Iwagakure from sensing the information. Baki immediately refused. Let me go, you all one by one. Chiyo sighed, finally realizing the village's CHBI weakness. In order not to make Sunagakure seem too incompetent, she must stand up, not to mention her grandson among the enemies. She wanted to ask Sasori what she wanted to do. Come with me, Temari, and as for the elder Chiyo, you will stay and guard the village. Qianyu made a final decision. With his healing technique to replenish his vitality, Chiyo's reincarnation technique would not be needed. Seeing that the other party had contributed an S-rank ninjutsu for him, Qianyu decided to save Chiyo's life. In the end, Chiyo did not refute, and now people in the village have different thoughts and really need her. At night, the sky is full of stars. The industrial pollution in the ninja world is not as serious as in the previous life, and the bright starry sky can often be seen. Qianyu sat on the roof of Temari's house, enjoying the evening breeze. Naruto, why don't you go to rest? Feeling the breath behind him, Qianyu asked behind him. Naruto sat beside him with confusion on his face. Qianyu, are you saying that this is the fate of Jinchuriki? Gaara finally became funnying. She has not yet realized her ideal, but she is being targeted by Xiao's people. Why do we suffer like this, just because there's a monster living inside us? His eyes have transformed into the red vertical pupils of the demon fox, and Nine Tails chakra escaped. Qianyu put his hand on Naruto's body, and a lively chakra forcefully pressed the chakra of Nine Tails back. It's not as bad as you think. Saw Naruto regain his composure, he said flatly. I will save Gaara, he is my brother-in-law. No impassioned words, no action. But there is also a convincing force. Naruto stared blankly at Qianyu before nodding forcefully for a long time. I'll work harder too. Okay, hurry up and go back to sleep, we will be on our way tomorrow. Qianyu got up and disappeared in the same place as a wisp of breeze. The next day, Kakashi received information from the ninja dog Parker, and currently Sasori and Deidara are in a cave in the country of the river. There is a strong seal there, and it does not dare to go deep. After getting the news, several people set off quickly. The Kingdom of Chuan is located at the junction of the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Wind. Under the leadership of Parker, Qianyu and others followed the fastest route. When he reached the territory of Xuanjiguo, Qianyu suddenly stopped, and a Rasengan smashed on the tree. The other three were still a little unclear, so they saw a white humanoid monster being shaken out of the tree. Oops, found out. After saying this, he lost his breath of life. White Zetsu. Qianyu was also a little surprised when he saw it. After awakening wood style, his perception of nature was extremely sharp, and he realized the unusualness of this tree. Otherwise, even Kagura wouldn't be able to detect White Zetsu's existence. As expected of the product of the divine tree, the ability is strange. The Kingdom of Chuan, in a stronghold of the Akatsuki organization. At this time, members of the Akatsuki organization are constantly extracting chakra from Gaara's body and injecting it into Gedo's statue. Except for Deidara and Sasori who are the main body, the others are operated remotely through the lantern body technique. Not long after Qianyu killed White Zetsu's clone, he definitely got feedback. Sunagakur and Konoha's squad are coming, and one of my men has been found. Pain was unmoved and continued to preside over the magic dragon 9 seals. Who are the pursuit troops? One-Tail Jinchuriki's older sister, Konoha First Technician Kakashi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and Cameo Qianyu. The names of the first few people, Chunin, were unmoved. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, Kakashi is a master, but where would he be in the eyes of these S-rank rebels? But when they heard Qianyu, several people's eyes narrowed. Cameo Qianyu, that guy who mastered the Sharingan. It was Deidara who said this, and he had a great deal of malice towards everyone who owns Sharingan. Pain frowned slightly, he didn't expect Qianyu to come too. If his main body was here, it wouldn't take so long to seal the tailed beast. But it will take some time before the ceremony is completed. Can't let them arrive so smoothly, who is going to delay some time? Boss, except for Deidara and Sasori, none of us are around. Hidan spoke up, but he was interested in fighting against Qianyu, but he and Kakuzu were near Cloud Shinobi. The day Lily was cold when I came over. I have a type of ninjutsu that uses living people as sacrifices to bring out the power of the 3-layered chakra. Pain said lightly, Sasori, just use the 2 subordinates you brought with you. Sasori is a little unhappy, after all, this is his subordinate. But the crisis is imminent, if you don't stop it, the seal is likely to fail, and you have to agree. The fate of the 2 Jonins was so easily decided. At this time, Kisame, who had not spoken for a while, smiled, Mr. Itachi, are you interested in meeting with Kamio, Qianyu for a while? Speaking of which, it's considered an old acquaintance. As you like. Itachi didn't refuse, but was happy to see it happen. Seeing that there were already candidates, Pain told the two of them how to launch the Shangjuan technique. Remember, be sure to procrastinate enough. The country of the river. Qianyu and others are still moving fast. Temari's physical skills were a little worse, so Qianyu supported her to save her energy. I'm sorry, I'm not here to help at all, I'm just here to make trouble. Temari said with some guilt. She didn't expect the speed of the three to be so fast. It turned out that he was taking care of her on the way to the land of wind. What nonsense, I didn't ask you to fight, you just need to watch how I get Gaara back. Qianyu smiled softly, which is why he agreed to Temari coming. If she didn't see Gaara for the first time, she would be very sad. With this in mind, Qianyu agreed to Temari's request. Kakashi rolled the eyes of the dead fish. He didn't expect that he would be able to eat dog food when he was on a mission. When he went back, he must watch the latest version of Intimacy Paradise to make up for his wounded heart. Qianyu's face sank. Someone is coming. Shish. The four fell on the road and looked forward. Before long, the ground shook slightly. Kamio Qianyu, Kakashi, please stop for a while. Kisami's voice came, and at the same time, there was his ninjutsu. Water-style explosive water rush. There was a huge wave not far away, like a turbulent river, instantly submerging the original isle. In a blink of an eye, it became the home of water-style ninjas. What a horrible chakra. Kakashi also revealed Sharingan at this time, staring at the two figures standing on the rock. Uchiha Itachi, Hoshigaki Kisame. Kisame, don't get close to them or we'll be killed. Some of Qianyu's information is that they are also masters. With Flying Thunder God and extreme swordsmanship, he is very good at melee combat. Instead of rushing to die, it is better to delay for a while. No problem, I already have a plan. Kisame smiled. I haven't seen him for 3 years, and he's still so honest. Surging chakra poured out of his body. Water-style Wanli water shark bomb. As his palms clapped on the water, chakra sharks quickly formed, swimming and rushing over. Qianyu's mouth twitched. What is this Kisame doing, so serious? Are you ready? He asked casually, and the spell was already activated. Water-style wave ride. A huge wave rose under the four's feet, taking them quickly towards Oni and Uchiha Itachi. Good way, Qianyu. Kakashi sighed. Sharingan locked Itachi. Itachi's mouth twitched, feeling that Kisame had killed him. How does he use fire style in this environment? Wind style Itachi. Temari made the first move, which contained her anger towards Akatsuki. Why arrest his brother? The howling storm was mixed with countless vacuum swords, separating Itachi and Kisame from their positions, cutting the battlefield. Naruto, you and Temari support from a distance, don't rush up. Kakashi and Qianyu fought one by one. A vortex appeared under Kisami's feet, dragging him and Qianyu into the water. Tsukuyomi. The consciousness of the two entered the illusion space, and Kisame lowered his head slightly. Mr. Qianyu, long time no see. For those whom he respects, he often calls Mr. Qianyu let him see the truth of the world, and he naturally had to work for it. Mr. Qianyu, if you hadn't come up without the killer, I really thought you forgot about me. The tone of these words was a bit resentful, and Qianyu's goosebumps fell on the ground. Be normal, I didn't look for you but there is nothing I need you to do. Kisame was stunned. Then why did you subdue me? I just knew about your experience and thought you were a real man. Qianyu said it for granted. He really thought so at the beginning, and by the way, master some of the dynamics of Xiao's organization. He hadn't started catching tailed beasts in the past few years, so he naturally didn't need Kisame. Kisame burst into laughter, not expecting that his actions would one day be recognized. He was even more determined to Qianyu. Forget it, since you're here, there are just 2 things you need to do. You go and send some white Zetsu to Orochimaru, I want to see what he can research. By the way, tell me the news of Xiao's organization's capture of the tailed beast, and the rest will be gone. Kisame nodded. Mr. Qianyu is also interested in 10 tails. After Qianyu's knowledge and popularization, now he also knows the true identity of 10 Tails. No, I just don't want things outside my control to happen. Qian Yu waved his hand. Okay, let's talk about it here, I have to rush to save my brother-in-law. After he finished speaking, he released the reading space, smashed Kisame in front of him with a punch, and rushed out of the water. On the other hand, Itachi is competing with Kakashi in illusion. Sharingan's abilities could not be fully demonstrated, and Kakashi was not a vegetarian in the past few years, so the two were evenly matched. A flying feather shot out, and Qian Yu directly used the Flying Thunder God Slash to strike Itachi like lightning. Boom! Itachi's body burst into a cloud of smoke. Its shadow clone. His real body slowly floated from the water in the distance. Well, chakra is exhausted, that's all. After he finished speaking, his body and appearance changed for a while, becoming another person. Yura, seeing this face appear, Tamari exclaimed. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.